Hello, everyone. Welcome to the return of our annual Wrestling Observer Newsletter Award Show. I am Big Rat 310, and I am here with my two friends.
Trademark629.
And
LV.
Yeah. So we're here to talk about the 2013 Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards. I'm all caught up finally.
14.
So I'm all caught up. It was a joke, Jared.
Oh, fuck.
Because you see, I will not be participating in these awards per se. I have a few thoughts that I can give here and there. But as everybody knows, my gimmick is I don't watch wrestling until a year later. So I've just finished the 2013 Battle of Los Angeles and hoping to finish the 2013 PWG shows. I've seen all of the 2013 Dragon Gate USA and Evolve shows. But yes, this is my gimmick, so I shall not be participating. But I'm here to host between two fans who watch a lot, two fans who know a lot, two fans who are not like me, actually do have, up-to-date viewpoints and thoughts regarding all this stuff. And we're going to go award by award, as Dave Meltzer does, and talk about some good old fun. So we'll start it off with the renowned Wrestler of the Year category. This can obviously go one of two ways. Combination of best ring work wrestler, who puts on the best matches, plus, of course, who's most important for a promotion, who's most important for the brand, all this and that. Generic shit. But either ways, I'll go with you, Jared, to start off. Who is your Wrestler of the Year, and who are your two honorable mentions?
Okay, my Wrestler of the Year is AJ Styles. It seemed like AJ Styles was unleashed this year, kind of, once he finally got out of TNA. And although I'd say that maybe you could argue that some wrestlers maybe over in New Japan had better performances than AJ, like individual or even as far as the string performances go, at a top level. But I think that just the fact that AJ was performing, in so many different promotions all across the world, and I feel like he became a real attraction in the U.S., especially on the Indies. The run that he went on once he finally got out of TNA, just working so many different promotions, and in Japan he proved that he could get over there as well. It's a little rough at first. After a few months, he proved that he could be a star in that environment as well. He was IWGP Heavyweight Champion for a good portion of the year, and he had a bunch of great matches all across the board this year. I really think that the thing that sealed the deal for AJ winning this award for me is just that he could thrive in any environment. I just thought as far as ring worker goes, as far as star power, bringing a lot of star power to the Indies. I think AJ was a big part of resurrecting that a little bit this year, importance to a lot of companies. So that's why I'd say he was the MVP in all of wrestling this year. My number 2 and 3, my runner-ups would be Kazuchika Okada at number 2 and Ricochet at number 3. Ricochet I'd compare to AJ in terms of the body of work thing, working all over the globe. He held singles titles in both Dragon Gate Proper and Dragon Gate USA. He won Best of the Super Juniors. He won Bola. He's had a banner year.
Makes a lot of sense. I have not been watching any wrestling.
Again, like AJ, working across the board, having tons of great matches, and working top of the card all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say sorry. My Skype cut out there for a second, so I thought you had stopped talking. That's why I interjected for a bit. Very quickly, I just want to add. Even though I have not watched any 2014 wrestling, actually, I've seen Ring of Honor up to their pay-per-view in June, and unfortunately, I've seen a lot of WWE. Mainly because my roommate in college is a big wrestling fan, so we both have the network. So we're actually pretty on top of WWE. I saw NXT Revolution and all that stuff. But the two names that I hear are performing everywhere are AJ Styles and Ricochet, to the point where they had a match. I don't know if it was last week or the week before. They had a match.
Yep, House of Glory.
Yeah, and Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez were hyping it up on their podcast, the first ever AJ Styles Ricochet match. These two big stars finally facing each other. It's going to be a big deal. So it's clear they both made a big name for themselves this year.
So Okada, I'd put at number 2. Last year I talked about how I thought he eclipsed Hiroshi Tanahashi as the guy in New Japan a little bit, and I'd say that he continued that on even a grander scale this year because you really saw Tanahashi being scaled back a little bit at parts during this year. I mean, he is currently the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. He didn't win it until October. So there was a period. There was a pretty good period, where yes, Tanahashi was headlining the beginning of the year for the IC title, but especially like that middle of the year when Okada was feuding with AJ, Tanahashi was out of that picture. So I thought that Okada did a good job proving that he could, carry the weight as the top face in the company. Tons of amazing matches. Still as over as ever. I think it's safe to say that Okada is the best all-around performer in New Japan right now. And I guess star power-wise, about equal to Tanahashi. So I think that he deserved number 2. And so Vic, what are your picks?
Well, somewhat similar, but in a way, like in a different order. I'll go with one, AJ Styles. You pretty much touched up on everything here. One thing I will add about AJ Styles is for a person that's watched a lot of independent promotions this year, he's wrestled for so many indies. He really helped out the independent scene. If you look at some of the attendance figures, according to some people, the attendance has risen a greatly amount, and some people would say that some of those indie shows had more crowds than actual TNA house shows, which says a lot. So I think when you add in the body of work from the Impact standpoint that he had, I do think he is my undisputed number 1. Number 2, I would actually go with a Ricochet here, and I do think it's a pretty close race between those two. If you look at Ricochet, I mean, my God, like the resume he had this year alone, Super Juniors, you mentioned PWG Bola, winning the Dragon Gate Championship in Japan and in the US. Just a whole bunch of stuff that he's done over this year. It's just incredible to see. So I would have him as my number 2. My number 3, I don't have Okada, but I do have Tanahashi, and it's really more of a default, really, for Tanahashi, because Tanahashi is basically the John Cena of Japan. And in my opinion, I don't think John Cena really has done much to really have consideration for Wrestler of the Year. I think Tanahashi has done a much better job at that. So those are my top 3.
Hiroshi Tanahashi, 3-time winner of this award. First time since Kenta Kobashi from 2003 through 2005. And Ric Flair had the award from 82 through 86. So if Tanahashi wins it this year, he'd be on track to try to break Flair's record. So, yeah, clearly Tanahashi's been very influential the past few years. I don't think there's any particular problem with him being listed here. So, the next award will be the Most Outstanding Wrestler Award. This could be just basically the most talented wrestler or who's put on the most amount of 4-star plus matches or whatever this year. And I'll start it with Vic this time. Give me your 1, your 2, your 3.
Well, I don't think it's much more of an argument, if you ask me, for Most Outstanding Wrestler. Obviously, to me, it's Tomohiro Ishii from New Japan. If you look at his matches, I think it pretty much speaks for itself. This guy was just crazy, just incredible. Some people may be about if he took a little bit too far. I do remember earlier in the year with his with at least his build up with Naito, he really pissed me off because him and Naito, they would like headbutt to death each other, especially after certain matches, like 8-man matches, and going into their real. I really forgot what show it was, but everybody was just crazy over the Naito Ishii match. But before then, they were doing a lot of headbutts, and that's kind of the criticism that a lot of people had about Ishii. He uses his head too much, kind of just over exceeds himself. He might die in the ring if he keeps it up. But anyways, I would have Tomohiro Ishii as my number 1. A number 2, I would have AJ Styles. And this really comes from a person, and you may hear this a lot throughout this whole entire recording, me watching a whole lot of promotions. So I've seen AJ Styles, and not just in New Japan Ring of Honor, but I've seen him like in IWC, just to name a few. But he really elevated a lot of people, especially people that you never heard of. And one particular match he had was with Jason Strife. And and I forgot the promotion name, but it's based out of Oklahoma. And the way he carried Jason Strife in that match, he made him look like $1,000,000. And it's stuff like that, and it goes back to the rest of the year thing that really makes a guy. And AJ Styles really has done that this year, so he's my number 2. And my number 3, I think it's Ricochet. Again, going back to my promotional stuff, Dragon Gate USA. He also wrestled in AEW, certain other promotions like that. So he'll be my number 3.
Jared?
I also have Ishii at number 1. Definitely the most consistent performer across the board in pro wrestling. I don't think it's even a contest. I mean, this guy was literally having a borderline match of the year contender at least pretty much every month, sometimes more than once a month. There was a time, that first half of the year, people were a little iffy on New Japan. Some of their shows weren't as good as what we usually come to expect from them. But Ishii could always be counted on to deliver an amazing match every single show. The guy really worked his ass off this year. LV, you mentioned the Naito matches, but I actually thought that the best Ishii match this year was his match with Hiroki Goto from Power Struggle later in the year. The guy just beat the hell out of himself and his opponents. Really worked his ass off, and I thought he produced at a ridiculously high level this year. I'd say this was probably one of the most productive years, match quality wise, from anybody that I've seen in a really long time. And my number 2 and 3 would be Okada and Tanahashi. Both pretty much neck and neck. I mean, they're both in the top 3 wrestlers of the world. They've been that way for the last few years. Thought it was another great year for both of them. Tanahashi didn't have the resume quite until the G1. That did a lot to boost his case for this award. I do think Okada I would put him at number 2 ahead of him, just because Okada I thought was performing at a more consistent pace throughout the course of the entire year. But Tanahashi had an amazing series with Nakamura. They had 4 really, really great matches against each other this year. He had some great matches with Shibata, a bunch of other good stuff during the G1. Won the championship in a pretty amazing match with AJ Styles. Okada, on the other hand, he was headlining, for the title at almost every show this year. Had some great matches with Suzuki in the G1, Nakamura, and several others. Kota Ibushi at the anniversary show in a non-title match. So between the 3 of these guys, I mean, you just have a gold mine of amazing pro wrestling matches.
All 5 of these guys are phenomenal workers. People know I'm not the biggest Ricochet fan, but I haven't seen a lot of him this year, and I've heard this year he's actively actually had different performances, and I heard he's a different worker in Japan and such, with the effort that he puts in. I mean, with regards to what he does in the States. Ishii's the man, Okada's the man, Tanahashi's the man. These guys are all phenomenal wrestlers, and throughout the entire year, like I said earlier, these are the names you hear over and over again for, oh my god, so-and-so had a great match. It usually involved AJ, Okada, Ricochet, Ishii, Tanahashi. So, good list by both of you, really. Combined, really the best probably work rate wrestlers in 2014. Shame, I just want to include my little tidbit here. Shame Daniel Bryan got hurt, because I think if he was champion for a good bit, for a 4-month reign, up to SummerSlam, he would have had TV and pay-per-view performances. I think could have been really, really fun and really, really good. Maybe not enough to earn a spot here, but yeah, we all kind of said this before. If Daniel Bryan's ever going to win Most Outstanding Wrestler, it would be with a multi-month title reign as champion, having wonderful pay-per-view matches. But
yeah, I agree. I think that Bryan had a case for the award last year, and he only got a push for a half to a third of the year. So I think with with a solid title reign right in the middle of the year, he would have had a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, plus it would have included the Bray Wyatt match at the Rumble, and his WrestleMania matches would have been included with the rest of his resume as well. So yeah.
Hey, don't forget the Kane match.
Best Kane match of all time.
I was there live. I'm biased.
Best Kane match of all time.
Probably.
Next we get to Feud of the Year. So Jared, I'll sling this one back to you. What were your top 3 for this category?
Okay, so Feud of the Year. My Feud of the Year is the feud that I gave worst Feud of the Year last year.
Impressive.
Daniel Bryan versus The Authority. I thought that this year it was a great storyline heading into WrestleMania. If you go back to Daniel Bryan being outed from the Rumble, which caused legitimate outrage, and WWE actually capitalized on it in a good way. Didn't seem that way at first, but it was pretty much right after Elimination Chamber when they kicked into the Bryan and Triple H stuff, and the Occupy Raw movement, which was one of the best Raw segments I think ever, like top 10 of all time, I think. And they blew it off in an amazing way at WrestleMania. And really, for the first time in I don't know how long, there was a storyline in wrestling where I legitimately hated a heel and loved a babyface. So I just thought it was perfect storytelling from start to finish, at least on the 2014 component of it. And having a strong blow-off really gives it the edge, in my opinion. My number 2 is Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose, and this is kind of like almost like the reverse in a way, where I didn't not much heel face investment, but more just wanting to see two guys beat the shit out of each other, and it was a great feud, and more I'd say it was more layered in a way than Bryan and the Authority, and had more longevity to it, but it also had a horrible blow off. By that I mean the Bray Wyatt thing in their Hell in a Cell match that just killed this thing's chances of winning Feud of the Year, in my opinion. And it just soured me on it so much. So I'd still give it number 2 because of all the other good things he did before that. But they just had, this was a great blow off away from being one of the best feuds of the last several years. And because it didn't have that, I just have a hard time really giving it that amount of praise. And my number 3 feud of the year, I think this might be a little surprising, is actually Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Katsuyori Shibata. Now, I will say that aside from my top 2 feuds, I didn't think this was a great year for feuds, but you had a little program between Tanahashi and Shibata in the fall, late summer, I should say. Basically, it's kind of a story arc between 2 matches, where you need to know the backstory of, Shibata leaving New Japan way back in the day, and then coming back, and how there's legitimate heat between the 2 of them. And it seemed like, within the 2 matches that they had together, they just told a really great story based around their real life hatred and just dislike and lack of respect for each other. And it seemed like by the end of the second match, Tanahashi legitimately gained respect for Shibata. And the 2 matches themselves, from a quality standpoint, were really awesome. Like I said, I know this wasn't the greatest year for feuds, but I enjoyed the little bit of storytelling between these guys. I enjoyed the dynamic between the 2 of them, and I thought they put together a nice little program right here for about a month or 2.
LV, I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah, I think Jared basically hit the nail on the head as far as feuds for this year. It really hasn't been that great. And I think the main theme about feuds over the past few years, at least from my standpoint, is that there's that one big major feud that got me really invested in what's going on. I look at over the past few years, if you followed my awards, you had Colt Cabana and Adam Pearce from a few years ago. You had the Kevin Steen Ring of Honor stuff from a few years ago, Kevin Steen, El Generico. So for this year, oh yeah, also like Bully Ray and Joe Park. But for this year, once again, the whole theme, there's that one feud that just really got me just solely invested, and that is, and for some of you may kind of raise an eyebrow, and some of you may not ever heard of this feud, but this feud was from Absolute Intense Wrestling in Cleveland, Ohio, and that is Gregory Iron against Veda Scott. I just absolutely loved this feud to death up until the final showdown. I thought this feud from the very beginning was just awesome. I think ECW Hardcore 07 Jim on Twitter and on YouTube knows a little bit about this more than anybody that I know of. And just kind of and just kind of sum this up. Basically, Veda Scott. Well, if you go all the way back to 2011 when CM Punk won the WWE title, and when he was doing his little 1 week off thing, Gregory Iron had a match at AEW, and some of you may know the story. CM Punk was at the AEW show. He appeared with Cole Cabana. CM Punk put Gregory Iron over, and basically that kind of had Gregory Iron had even more exposure. And for those who don't know Gregory Iron, he's a guy that has cerebral palsy. So later on in Absolute Intense Wrestling, Gregory Iron kind of become like this little douchebag. And he starts saying, like, I'm an inspiration, and CM Punk put me over, and yada, yada, yada. And he got really full of himself. Veda Scott pretty soon joined him, and Veda Scott was basically like the lawyer, kind of like the hope. And pretty soon they formed a tag team called Hope and Change. And pretty soon they won the tag team titles. And what made Hope and Change really, really interesting for me is that they kind of had like this little loophole, and this is where the Veda Scott like lawyer stuff came in, where in their matches they would actually have say like they're in a tag team title match. The only way that you can beat them is with a 5 count. But for them to win their match, they had to win it like via 3 count or maybe a 2 count. They had a certain amount of rope breaks or whatever the case is, and I think that was so neat. So fast forward and now, they pretty soon broke up, and Gregory Iron formed the Iron Curtain. And basically, Gregory Iron had all these really big guys with him. And there was a show called Gauntlet of the Gold this year. And they're basically feuding. They had their little fits back and forth. And the Gauntlet for the Gold is like a Royal Rumble. So when Veda Scott was in, the Iron Curtain attacked Veda Scott. And Veda Scott was busted open very hard way. It was really, really gruesome to see. And, I was just so invested in this. And there was a promo that Veda Scott did before the match happened. She had like a wedding dress on because Greg Iron pretty much said that he's in love with Veda Scott. He wants to give his all to Veda Scott. And she did a really good promo in the wedding dress. As far as the match goes, it sucked. It pretty much sucked. That's like the only criticism I had about it. So it's kind of unfortunate it had to end that way. And it was in a steel cage match at that. Anyways, as far as my number 2, number 3, real quick, I'll have my number 2 go to Adam Cole, Jay Briscoe. That's really not saying a whole lot. Like if you look back when Adam Cole won the belt, Jay Briscoe gave him the belt. Adam Cole turned heel officially. Then they had their Supercard of Honor match, which I hated watching live. All those chair shots that they had, those ladder shots that they had, just pissed me off to no end. And then pretty soon they had their final bout of match. It was a lot better than that. So there you go with that. And then my third, I would have Katsuyori Shibata against Hiroshi Tanahashi. This feud could have been so freaking awesome if they would have had this at the Tokyo Dome to end it off, but they didn't. They ended off really, really short, in my opinion. And what kind of, my criticism about that was that at the very end of their match, Shibata freaking shook his hand. I'm like, dude, seriously? Why are you shaking his hand now? I mean, this happened at the Tokyo Dome, but but that's my number 3.
Yeah, I mean, they were on different paths, so it is a shame that dude couldn't have been stretched out longer, because I feel like that as an IPay-per-view main event, especially at a show like the Tokyo Dome, like for the championship, like that's where the money's at.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very, very unfortunate. I really do believe that with feuds, because look, me and Jared first did this video 2 years ago, and he was like, Ricky, like what feuds do we like this year? And we were like, well, there's not really any good feuds. And then last year, same exact thing, and we said, well, there's not really any good feuds. And I see it again this year with you two guys saying the same thing. And I just want to say this about all that stuff. I think it reflects a problem with storytelling in wrestling. And this is something we're all very aware of. Sometimes WWE, sometimes New Japan, sometimes all these companies can have a great match. They can have great matches. Sometimes they even have stars rise up. Sometimes you can have guys go with upward mobility and rise through the ranks and impress everybody. But one thing that is lost on a lot of wrestling promoters today is how to tell pure stories. And I think this is a big problem on the indies, which is why the indies aren't attracting any attraction right now. And it's a big problem in the main companies as well. And I think that's why you don't see that's why it's kind of hard to think of the feuds of the year. That's why you kind of have to think about it. And there's some good stuff, like the feuds you guys listed, both of you, those are all good feuds. But I think it just reflects a growing problem in the business we all love that I've noticed in the past few years. So that's why I think it is the way it is. I've never I actually am a little familiar with the Gregory Iron Veda Scott stuff. Even though I don't watch wrestling in 2014, but I was watching AIW shows last year when I was trying to find good AIW matches to watch, and I got a hint of them when they were tag team champions. I saw a little bit of their run together, so I can imagine the feud, the blow off, the breakup, all must have been really amazing. And yeah, the match sounds like it would suck, but the feud sounds like it would be great. Veda Scott, she gets a lot of dirt for not being the best in-ring performer, but outside of the ring, in any promotion she works in, she usually does a damn good job. So, yeah. And good feuds all around, guys. Very good job. Next we get to Tag Team of the Year. I have a feeling where this is going to...
Are we skipping Box Office Draw?
We usually do, don't we? Didn't we agree that it's like a statistical award?
I want to say this. I don't know if... It's kind of hard to measure this award this year because of the network.
Yes. Fine. Best box office draw. Just give me one name, each of you, if you want. Jared, who's your best box office draw?
I'd say Brock, but again, like I said, it's hard to tell.
LV?
I guess you would say Brock, but if you don't want me to give the obvious one, I would say Brock. I ain't gonna go there.
I want to hear who your other name would have been.
Well, I was about to say AJ Styles, but that's really more of an indie type of mentality at the time.
It's fair with New Japan too and stuff, but fine.
AJ Styles main event against Matt Hardy, Crosby High School, Waterbury, Connecticut, sellout.
Oh my God! Don't watch those shitty promotions, people. So next we get to the real awards. Tag Team of the Year. Kind of have a feeling where this one's going, but LV, you started off and tell me who's your Tag Team of the Year.
Oh my God! This is one of my favorite awards, and I wouldn't have said this like years ago. I really got to say that this year in tag team wrestling, for a person that's watched a lot of promotions, this had to be one of the most best years for tag team wrestling. I mean, just all around. I mean, there's just so many tag teams, and I'm just so excited for 2015 to what tag team wrestling holds. For my number one tag team, and this may raise some eyebrows here, but I'm actually going to go with Red Dragon here, and and the reason why, I might as well give my number 2 and number 3, and I'll kind of explain a little bit more. So yeah, I got number 1 Red Dragon, and I got number 2 the Young Bucks, and number 3 I got Ita and T-Hawk from Dragon Gate, aka the Millennials. Now, the whole thing about Red Dragon, and I think what kind of makes them kind of go over the top of Young Bucks, and really it's just a toss-up. Really, I don't think there's no wrong answer with those 3 teams, because I do think all 3 teams have their case. And I think what Red Dragon kind of put them over the top was really the resume at the end of the day. I think the fact, if you look at them as tag team champions in Ring of Honor, they brought a lot of credibility that tag team division really hasn't had. Granted, you had the Briscoes winning, but that's the Briscoes. And then, not only that though, but I also think that if you look at their resume at that, and I think that's what really put them over the top. The fact that they went to New Japan, one of the few people to go to New Japan. And when they had their tryout, they actually pushed them to the moon, much like it did with the Young Bucks last year, and them winning the Tag League tournament, and then eventually winning the tag team titles, much like the Young Bucks did. So I think if you look at the resume alone, I do think Red Dragon kind of edges the Young Bucks just over a little bit. Now, if you look at the Young Bucks, obviously they have the impact of it, but I don't think it was as strong as a year as they had last year, because if you look at their body of work, they won practically every single championship from Chikara, Dragon Gate, New Japan, Ring of Honor, PWG. So, and again, I don't think there's no right or wrong answer. And obviously, if you look at the Millennials, I do think the Millennials, out of all 3 teams, has had the best matches out of them. I think like they had like multiple 4 1/4 to almost 4 3/4 star matches throughout. But I think that's what I think that's the only thing that they really have. They don't have the impact as much as the Young Bucks had, and not as much as the resume like Red Dragon has. So, those are my thoughts for Tag Team of the Year.
And now we go to Jared, who I've already guessed his 3 teams, so we'll see what he says. But go for it.
Well, number 3 might surprise you.
Okay.
Number 1's the Young Bucks resume standpoint. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer just because, they were tag team champions in, so many different promotions. You got, PWG, Ring of Honor, New Japan. They're torn all over the place. They're tearing it up. They're outperforming just about everybody. They invented a move this year, the Meltzer driver, which is fucking awesome.
Best move.
Dave Meltzer.
Best move of all time.
Hold on. Spoiler alert.
There is a picture on Twitter of Dave Meltzer holding out a Meltzer driver T-shirt. It's wonderful. You should see it.
I think the Bucks tweeted at him one of these is coming your way.
I don't know if he was at a PWG show or if he just saw them in California, but there's a picture of Dave Meltzer holding a Meltzer driver T-shirt. It's wonderful.
Yeah. So, that was the exclamation point on the Young Bucks year, in my opinion. I think this was the best year of their careers, and they were the tag team of the year last year, in my opinion, for pretty much the same reasons, and they topped themselves this year. In my opinion, they also had I think they also had 2 of their best matches that they've ever had this year. Number 2 would be Red Dragon, also tearing it up. Great tag team. They offer more from a sports entertainment standpoint than the Young Bucks do. I think that Bobby Fish has really, really helped Kyle O'Reilly come into his own from a personality standpoint, and he's helped Kyle O'Reilly become a more well-rounded performer. And on top of that, they make a hell of a combination. And honestly, their program with the Young Bucks is probably a big reason of why I would pick the Young Bucks for Tag Team of the Year. So I think it's only fitting that Red Dragon would be number 2. And number 3, I would have the Usos. I think the WWE's tag team division this year was pretty underrated, and I think the Usos were their top performing team. I think that their program with the Wyatts really elevated the tag titles to the point where the tag title match became one of the most looked forward to matches on a pay-per-view card, which says a lot considering where the division has been at various points over the last several years. You could say it's kind of similar to what the Shield did with the titles last year. But I really thought the Usos basically did the same sort of thing. So those are the top 3 teams of the year, in my opinion. But like LV said, a lot of great tag teams all across the board in professional wrestling at pretty much all levels.
This is, like I said, the main thing I can offer in this thing is comparing the state. See, the reason why I like doing this video so much is it's kind of like the state of wrestling, And one of my favorite things I can do this year, since I can't really give my choice for each category, is compare how the awards are looking from year to year. And from when we first started doing it to now, it's really one of the big bright spots of wrestling. I know there aren't a whole lot, but one of the big bright spots is how much tag team wrestling as a whole has improved from year to year. And a lot of credit of that goes to the Young Bucks. A lot of credit that goes to Red Dragon. It goes to the WWE, giving guys like the Usos, the Wyatts, the Shields, even Miz and Mizdow, and all these guys actual time.
Too, because of recency.
True, yes, but just actually letting these guys shine. The Usos, their pay-per-view matches get 10, 20 minutes. I was there at Battleground when they got 20 something minutes to open the show, and this is not stuff we used to see in 2010, 2011. So it really is a nice change of pace.
And if I could kind of put over just really great how tag team wrestling has been. I mean, if you look at things you look at the Dagon Yankees, Masato Tanaka and Takeshi Sugiura. You look at the Beaver Boys. I haven't been that high on the Beaver Boys over the past year, but they really, really surprised me this year.
Yeah.
They got OI4K. Shit, just jeez. I mean, it was just freaking great.
Promotions.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you had the Hardys and the Dudleys and the Wolves having those matches on TNA. I mean, I really think people don't understand how great this year was for tag team wrestling. I mean, I think really this is the highlight of 2014. I mean, it was just awesome to see.
I gotta send
Just
some
awesome.
love. I gotta send some love to a Team Tremendous as well, who I saw all the time at Beyond
Oh,
Wrestling.
oh my God,
they're a
dude!
lot of
Oh
fun.
my God,
They're a lot of fun.
That-
CTWE
that-
veterans. I've known Dan Barry for like 4 years.
They're both awesome.
That team, Jesus, that team is so underrated.
Yes.
Oh
yes,
my
they are.
God, that team is underrated.
I
the
went
80s cops thing.
last semester. I went to 2 Beyond Wrestling shows, and they were like the superstars of both of those shows. Like they were just so much fun to watch live. All right, next we go to most improved. Last year's. I guess I should mention last year's winners for some of these categories. Last year's winner was Roman Reigns. So Jared, I'll send it to you. You know the drill. Who's your most improved for this year?
I feel like this is always such a hard award to do, just because, you know, I feel like guys keep breaking into the business at like younger and younger ages, and there's always like so much like, you know, new talent, and because like, you know, talent's always moving around in wrestling, especially like indie scene to mainstream, there's always guys being given new opportunities and chances to improve. So I feel like over the last couple of years, it's been really hard to do this award. But my number one most improved is, and maybe this is a guy who isn't improved so much as being given more opportunities, but as far as like seeing more from him than I've seen in other years, Kushida over in New Japan. This is a guy who I always, you know, recognize as a good worker. You know, all right, you know, Time Splitters, great tag team. This guy's like he's really good, athletic, you know, junior style wrestler, whatever. But this year, he really stood out. I think that his performances in the Super Juniors tournament, especially the finals against Ricochet. Not only that, but some of the Time Splitters' best matches this year were in large part due to him. He also had some high-profile matches for the junior title. Like I believe he faced Taguchi later on in the year, and I just thought he showed a lot that he could stand on his own as a singles performer, and he just raised his stock from being a guy that I thought was like, you know, a very good worker to probably one of the best players in the company, I think, at this point. And I didn't see him in that light at all when the year started. And I think that he got some unexpected opportunities this year and made the most out of them. Cedric Alexander is another guy who I think was getting more chances this year, and he raised his game, showing that he could go at a top level. I think that ROH kind of halfway on his push. They kind of seemed to, you know, pull back midway through the year. But early on, I think Cedric was on his way to having a really great year. And I know that he has other opportunities in other promotions as well. He got himself into PWG on a regular basis this year, semi-regular at least. And yeah, I thought this was probably the best year that I've seen from him so far since I started following his career. And number 3, I would put Rusev. Now, Rusev, you know, this was his first full debut year on the main roster. And I think that he really improved as the year went along. I think that a lot of people had their doubts about the gimmick going in. A lot of people were saying it's outdated, it'll never get over. And him and Lana really proved everybody wrong. And I think that, you know, as far as like, you know, getting his character over and also like performing in the ring, he really just seemed to he really grew on a lot of people as the year went on. And this is a guy that I was kind of like, you know, half and half on when the year started, and then like as the year went on, I just became like more and more of a fan of his, and now I'm at the point where I'm like, I really like this guy.
All great names right there. LV.
Yeah, I really love this award. I really do, because giving it out like over the past few years of my personal awards, you know, I just look back and just see how much they improved over the years. Like, you know, I had guys like Sami Callihan. You look at him now in NXT. Mia Yim was another one. You had Harlem Bravado I had last year. So this year, I really am excited for these 3 people. And actually, they're actually 3 women. I'm really excited for these 3 women in the coming years. 2 of them recently went to Japan, and I think that's kind of one of the themes when women do win these type of awards like Mia Yim. You go to Japan, you get better, and you just get more notice. So starting off with my number 1, I have Kimberly as number 1. And this was really close with her and my number 2, which is I'm going to talk about later on, but with Kimberly, she has improved so much this year, and she's starting to become one of those elite pro wrestlers as far as women go, at least in North America on the indie scene. She really has improved a lot. And I think what kind of elevated that was that I was actually watching a Beyond Wrestling show. It was a secret show over the summer, and it was her and JT Dunn. And again, this is a secret show. Hardly anyone's in there, and they put on one of the best matches of the year. I think I gave that 4.25 star. They just went full out, and I was more impressed with Kimberly more than JT Dunn. But yeah, like I think Kimberly really has improved a lot. My number two is Elysia Sparks. Elysia Sparks improved a lot here as well. She actually also was in Japan recently, and I think one of the first matches I saw with her, she was facing Veda Scott at a Smash Wrestling show, and she was just pulling all of these type of Japanese type moves. And I was saying to myself, what in the world? Like she hasn't done this before. So I think she's improved a lot. I think the gimmick she tried to do, not just in Ring of Honor, but in other promotions, especially in AIW, I think she really works to her advantage. And my number three, and some of you may know her, if you are a quote unquote YouTube shooter, but it's Jasmine. She used to be on YouTube. She used to make YouTube videos. She's not as elitist as some of us are. She's so there's that to her advantage. So she shouldn't get any heat for me saying that she was a YouTube shooter, quote unquote. But she really has improved as well. She recently had a lot of bookings, especially in AIW. And if there's one particular match that I really enjoyed seeing her do, it was her and Elysia Sparks. They were in a ladder match recently. It was an Alpha One Wrestling in Canada, and it was over Elysia Sparks' dog, believe it or not. But anyways, they had a great ladder match though. They had a great ladder match. There was like Elysia Sparks did like an air raid crash on Jasmine, and like they just went full out. So if y'all haven't seen that match, go ahead and check that out. It was a great match. I gave that one like 4 stars, so it was awesome to see. So those are my 3.
Man, you guys, what I love about this video is whenever me and Jared used to do this, whenever we would have like 2 sets of wrestlers that were like none of them were on either of our lists, and I think that's what makes the award a lot of fun. And we got that here.
Gavin Loudspeaker.
Say it again.
Gavin Loudspeaker.
Yeah, Gavin Loudspeaker. Arctic Rescue Ant. Last year, that was another classic. Arctic Rescue Ant was my Rookie of the Year last year. And Jared did not... Oh, and Gavin Loudspeaker was on my list of honorable mentions.
3 awards. 3.
Gavin Loudspeaker was on 3 of my awards. Yes. He was like best on... It was like best on interviews, like best announcer, and then Rookie of the Year.
It was best...
Oh, best feud of the year. Feud of the year.
It was Feud of the Year. It was Rookie of the Year and Best Non-Wrestler.
Yes. Yes.
Terrible.
I'm proud of my Gavin Loudspeaker versus Tim Donce match from the last Chikara pay-per-view of 2013. That was like 10 stars. So, as Cedric, I just want to say something quickly about Cedric because he's the one I could really. Cedric and Kimberly. Cedric, I watched a lot of the Kevin Steen show. Actually, not a lot. I've seen every single one, and they all had such overglowing praise about Cedric last year, and this year, some of the ones they were on, some of the ROH guys that were on there were like constantly talking about just how talented he is and how he gets to show it to the world now. And how, like Jared said, just being given more opportunities to show that he really is a real talent that we didn't recognize in the years before. But he definitely has improved for sure. With using those opportunities, he's gotten better and done things he wasn't doing otherwise. I want to say one quick thing about Kimberly. At one of the Beyond shows I saw, it's probably not out on DVD because they don't release DVDs, but Kimberly had a match against Drew Gulak, and Kimberly beat Drew Gulak with like a roll-up, and Drew Gulak cut a promo on her saying how she didn't even want to be a wrestler, she wanted to be a dancer, and how she moved from like LA to Philly or from somewhere to Philly to dance. And the people she worked with told her that she wasn't good enough and that she was a failure. And instead of taking it like that, she just decided to find a new passion in life, and she found wrestling, and that's why she went to the CCW Wrestling Academy, training with the guys for years and years and years. And Drew like made it a point to mention, just so you know, you are not a failure. You're one of the most talented wrestlers I've seen, and the strides and progress you've made this year alone shows the world that you're not just one of the best females, but one of the best wrestlers all around. And it was one of the most amazing segments I've ever seen live. And you could definitely see it with her. I wasn't the biggest Kimberly fan before this year, but in the appearances I've seen of her, I've definitely gained newfound respect for her. So I very much respect LV as putting that as his top choice. All right. Now we move on to best on interviews. We now go back to LV for this one to start it off.
Yeah. So best on interviews, I think there's a whole lot that you can choose from. Just to go over really quickly, I would say my number one is Paul Heyman. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. My number two, I would actually have Josh Prohibition from AIW. There was this amazing promo that Josh Prohibition did on Matt Cross, and actually, dude, it's on YouTube. So if you guys can go on YouTube and look that up, like the passion and the fury he had, it really felt it felt like a legit shoot. It was just crazy to see. So I would have him at number two. And my number three, to be quite honest, nobody really stands out for my number three. So if I could choose anyone from the top of my head, I guess you would say Black G's from CZW. Maybe him. He kind of has that rawness about him, that shoot style type of promo with him. If you looked at some of his promos on the CZW YouTube page, especially, he really feels really disrespected and kind of having that angry black guy stereotype. So there you go.
Nice.
Black Cheese is really good on the mic. Really, really good. No shame there.
Congrats, too. New CZW champ.
Yes, true. Big congrats to him.
There you go.
Jared, now to you.
My number one is Paul Heyman for the generic reasons that everybody will give, but I mean, it's just self-explanatory. This guy's the best. He's the best talker in wrestling right now. It's not even close. No one knows how to sell a program, sell anything more better than he does on the mic. Number two, I'd say Dean Ambrose. He definitely brings that CM Punk style to the that candid style to the interviews, but he was almost in danger here of missing out, because there've been some moments this year where WWE's over scripting has gotten in his way. For the most part, it hasn't, but I mean there were a couple moments where it was getting a little scary there. But for the most part, you can sense his natural charisma and comfortability on interviews, and just how spontaneous he is. So I think he's great at that. John Cena, I'd put at number three, just based on reputation more than anything. I mean, CM Punk usually wins this award, but he quit, so he's not really that eligible.
Paul Heyman won this. CM Punk did win it from 2010 to 2013 or 2012, but Paul Heyman did win this award last year. And
right.
He rightfully probably deserves to repeat. So
yeah, I don't think there's anyone who's really close to him.
I do want to say one thing about Dean Ambrose. I've said this before, when everyone wonders why Dean Ambrose always loses, and don't get me wrong, let me preface this now. I think that's wrong, I think it's dumb. And it's not going to help him. But I think WWE views him like how Dragon Gate USA views Akira Tozawa, where because he's such a crazy, out of control character, the crowd loves it. The crowd, like wrestling crowds, really love that archetype. Because he is this crazy out of control wrestler, it's almost like you can't kill him. That's kind of the point of pinning someone. You you diminish their credibility and their reputation because they're not as good as you. Think about it if wrestling was real. Like in the UFC. If you're losing every single fight, then no one could take you seriously as a top fighter in the promotion. But because Ambrose is always so unpredictable and uncontrollable, even if he loses, he's still going to get you interested in his match, because you just can never tell with him. You can never tell what he's going to do. He always has that unpredictability factor that, from a real life standpoint, always gives him a chance to win. And it's because he's so great on interviews and he has this character, which is why I think WWE beats him so much. They think they can do it because they think it won't hurt him. And obviously, maybe it doesn't hurt him as much as it would other guys, but it's certainly not going to help him. No duh. But because he's so talented on the mic in that area, I really do think that's why they treat him that way, because they do like him. It's not like they don't like the guy. They clearly like the guy. But yeah, I think his character is very, very, very compelling, and I think he's one of the most talented guys on the mic in all of wrestling right now. So good job with those choices.
Yeah.
Next we go to most charismatic. Usually, probably not this year, but usually this award is just a carbon copy of the award right before it. But we'll try different stuff. The winner of this award last year was Tanahashi. But Jared, your turn. Go first.
I would give it to Tanahashi once again. He's definitely got some of the most natural charisma in the business, and like you were saying when we did this video last year, how he like retains it during his matches and just really does a good job of like lighting a fire under the crowd and getting the most out of like really minor mannerisms, just like, you know, a look he can have on his face, or the air guitar thing, or that little pose he does right before he does that the senton in the middle of his matches when he starts his comeback. The definition of this award, like, you know, if you look at when it's outlined, like, you know, along with the rest of the awards, the first thing it mentions is who got the most out of the least. And I think Tanahashi exemplifies that a lot more than just about anybody. I'd say John Cena would be number 2 for obvious reasons. Like, I don't have to, you know, you can pretty much, like, you know, pinpoint exactly why, but just mainly, I probably mentioned this last year, how, like, within his promos, he's able to improvise so much, and you know, when things aren't going his way and the crowd isn't reacting the way he wants them to, he's able to turn it around. Shinsuke Nakamura, I put it number 3 for pretty much just similar reasons to why Tanahashi's at number 1. This guy oozes charisma. The yell he does when he comes over and does this crazy thing before he goes for the Bomaye, how he mocks other wrestlers, especially when he's in there with a baby face. It's always a good time. So all 3 of these guys, super charismatic.
All right, LV, your turn.
Well, my number 1 is actually Jared's number 3, and once again, Jared, you disrespected the great Shinsuke Nakamura, much like the Wrestling Observer has done.
At least he made the top 3 this year. He didn't make the top 3 last year.
I was outraged last year how many people didn't show love, and you did it again, Jared. So thanks a lot. But anyways, I think Nakamura is freaking awesome, just charismatic wise. It all started at the very beginning of the year when he had that awesome Tokyo Dome entrance. He had pole dancers. He came out. Oh my God. I was saying to myself, I want to be just like that guy. And like throughout the year, he was just freaking awesome. Like he's the definition of charisma in 2014. Like he's just awesome in my opinion. Number 2, I would have Tanahashi. Pretty much similar reasons that Trademark said here. And number 3, I'll actually have Kevin Steen here. I think throughout the year in his matches, and he really hasn't done anything different as far as what he does in matches here. But I think if you add in his popularity, he really just engages the crowd. And I think really said a lot in his NXT debut. Like the moment he came out, the crowd just went absolutely insane for him. And, you know, it was just great to see him finally in NXT at least, you know, so there you go.
Who's your number 2 again?
It was Tanahashi.
Oh, yeah, Tanahashi. Yeah, sorry. I knew it was Tanahashi or...
Pay attention.
I was paying attention. I just didn't remember if it was Tanahashi or Cena.
Do I have to go Jim Cornette on you, Chico?
No. Let me be.
You're Cornette and Big Rat works at Dairy Queen. Wait,
loose. Did Jim Cornette like go off on Chico in the most recent episode with him?
No. It was actually earlier in the year.
Oh, okay. Like what? He just like...
Yeah. He didn't really go off on him. He was just saying, you know, aren't you paying attention? And then like people gave Chico shit for it. So.
We're gonna have to cut this.
No, we're leaving this in.
And then all right. Yeah, and then it led to Chico going on a huge rant the following day. So
that's awesome. All right. Like I said, tons of charismatic guys there. Nothing else to say there. Best technical wrestler. This award has been won by Daniel Bryan for the last 8
Decade.
years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 years. For the past 9 years. So, I send it to you first, LV. Is Daniel Bryan the best technical wrestler with his 5-month showing in WWE this year?
Well, to go opposite for many people, no, no, no.
Boo.
At least for me. At least for me. My best technical wrestler, number one, is Zack Sabre Jr.
Right.
If you guys seen him at all this year, in especially in Pro Wrestling Noah, Pro Wrestling Progress in the UK, RPW, and other promotions, the guy pretty much his matches speak for himself. The guy's just great. One thing I really love about his matches is that he uses the fingers a lot. Really like breaks the fingers off where the case is. So I think he pretty much is the embodiment of technical wrestling at this point. Another guy I would say going in number 2 is Kyle O'Reilly. I think the guy is great as well as a technical wrestler. People say he's like the stepchild of Bryan Danielson. So that says a lot right there. And my number 3, jeez. My number 3 was a tough one. It's really a toss up between guys like Drew Gulak or Timothy Thatcher or Biff Busick. But going by default, I'll go by Drew Gulak. I think he pretty much sets the standard for something like that. So there you go with Drew Gulak. Those are my top 3.
Jared?
All right, best technical. I'm going to be boring. I'm going to have the same exact list that I had last year. And the reason that I'm going to give Daniel Bryan number 1 is because you know what? If The Rock can win awards when he doesn't even wrestle a single match all year long, like he did in 2011, then Daniel Bryan, for wrestling a third of the year, can win best technical wrestler because of all the wrestlers who performed in 2014, no matter how long. I think Daniel Bryan has the greatest technical skills of anybody. And then 2 and 3, Tanahashi and Okada. I really just don't have a lot to say on this award because it's just from a raw skill standpoint and just something that you could just tell when you watch these guys perform. Just the fluidity between moves and transitions and ability to work and tell a story and all that good stuff. So it's really just based on, it's a reputation thing, and these guys performed well enough to show how good that they really are. So that's all I really have to say on this award.
I appreciate very much LV having guys like Zack Sabre Jr., Drew Gulak.
I will say this: I debated putting Kyle O'Reilly at number 3 because I thought that this year he made strides, and I think he's on his way. Sooner or later he's going to surpass his needs.
Kyle O'Reilly is going to win Most Outstanding Wrestler next year. I think. I think he's going to win. I think he might win the title.
It's a hard decision to make, I think, for these companies, just because Red Dragon's such a great tag team, but the money's in O'Reilly as a singles guy.
Now we move on. Zack Sabre Jr., Drew Gulak, Biff Busick, Timothy Thatcher. Those are actual technical wrestlers. So
This is true.
I really appreciate those guys getting some love here on the podcast. Best brawler. Now we send it to Jared. Yeah, your turn.
Best brawler.
Last year, this was won by Shibata.
Yep, and I have him at number 1 once again. He has the most realistic looking matches in wrestling, matches that look and feel most like real fights. He just works ridiculously stiff. His matches are always unbelievably exciting and hard hitting and bloody in various cases. They're just vicious. He is a vicious performer, and he's the best at making his matches look the most realistic and look like fights. And number 2, I would put Tomohiro Ishii. And while Ishii, has had better matches than Shibata this year, I think that if you're talking about who's the best brawler, I think that Ishii is more of just a really stiff worker as opposed to working a style. I think that Shibata does more of that, incorporating that into his matches than a guy like Ishii does. Ishii's a guy who does more of your traditional chops and slams, that sort of stuff. Nonetheless, still in the same vein as Shibata in making his matches look like real fights. And Dean Ambrose, I'd put at number 3. it was really between him and Kevin Steen, but I think that Dean Ambrose just had a better year than Steen did, and that his matches just had a greater level of intensity to them. They both work similar styles, kind of like that classic like a Mick Foley style, and I think that Dean Ambrose are especially like as a singles guy. I mean, he added that element when he was part of the Shield, but especially now that he's a singles guy, you really just get this feeling when you watch this guy come out there that he's just like a madman, just taking swings at people, and yeah, I'd say he's a good choice for number 3.
LV.
Well, I would have Tomohiro Ishii at number 1 because my God, like the guy is freaking insane. I mean, like it's just crazy. I mean, especially in that G1, how his shoulder gets taped up and the stuff that he does in the ring. It's like Jesus Christ, dude, you're gonna die in the ring, But yeah, like I would have him at number 1, and no, number 2, I would actually have Masato Tanaka at number 2. Yeah, like it's pretty much similar to Ishii here. It's like, good Jesus Christ. I mean, especially with Tanaka, the elbows he throws, like especially in those 0-1 matches that I saw over the past year, it's like Jesus Christ, dude. Like it's crazy. And my number 3, I would have Takeshi Sugiura, and pretty much a similar reason Masato Tanaka had. And oh my God, like if you would have Tanaka and Sugiura, which they actually are a tag team, like Jesus Christ, like the matches that they put on, it's just so brutal, but they're so freaking great. So yeah, those are my top 3.
So you went Ishii, Tanaka, Sugiura?
Yeah.
Okay. I got nothing to say here. Dean Ambrose is one of the purest brawlers WWE's had like in a long time. So, and again, that kind of fits with his like crazy, unpredictable style, which is why again he always loses. Anyways, next we get to best flying wrestler. LV, now we start with you. This award usually always involves like the same group of 5 guys, just a different reshuffling of them every year. But how would you list them? This award was won the last 2 years by Kota Ibushi.
Well, I don't think Kota Ibushi is going to win it this year because to me, the number 1 guy is the future of Flight Ricochet. I mean, just the stuff that he does, the crispness that he does, and when he follows up doing his high flying moves, like the charisma he shows, how he gets the crowd into it, really, really shows a lot here. So I do think Ricochet is number 1 in that, and I do think one of the things that really stands out for him is that when it seems like when people are gonna like Frankenstein him or suplex him off, he somehow does like a flipping, like a 450 stand, and people are just like wowed. I think it really stood out when I think I want to say he faced Kota Ibushi. I want to say. Kota Ibushi tried to do like a Frankensteiner, and like when he did it, Ricochet countered it up, and people were just like, "Wow!" He even got Dave Meltzer marking out while he was talking about in the match. So I would say it was Ricochet. My number 2 is Flamenta from Dragon Gate. Oh my God, y'all! This kid is 19 years old. No offense to y'all too, but this guy's only 19 years old. And the stuff that he does in Dragon Gate, I mean, it's just amazing to see. He's only 19 years old. And again, like it's just the certain stuff that you see in Dragon Gate when you see guys like Flamenta and Ita and T-Hawk. And these are younger guys. And seeing the stuff Flamenta does, and he had a lot of great matches too in Dragon Gate. And my number 3 is kind of like the standard pick. I would say it's Kota Ibushi for standard reasons for why he won last year, though in my opinion, he's not the best 5 flyer for this year.
Jared?
I'm gonna give Kota Ibushi number 1 once again. I give him number 1 every year, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna give him number 1 until the end of time. I just can't stop getting ridiculously excited every time I see this guy wrestle. He just amazes me. He is the most athletic guy, I think, in pro wrestling. Just some of the moves and the counters that he pulls off are just freaking unbelievable. Typical match mark explanation, but I just can't stop being amazed by watching this guy wrestle every single time I see it. It looks like shit out of a video game. I would put Ricochet at number 2. In fact, the reason that I put Ricochet number 2 instead of number 1, and this is more of a testament to Ricochet than a discredit. I think that Ricochet is a more well-rounded performer than Kota Ibushi. And he doesn't rely on his high flying as much as Ibushi does, which is, I mean, as far as this award goes, I think that Ibushi's the best at incorporating this style into his matches, and making it like his centerpiece of his offense, whereas Ricochet incorporates a lot of different things, and that's what makes Ricochet so great. Is just the fact that he's able to incorporate so many different styles of wrestling. I mean, he's definitely one of the most athletic guys in the business, and he, like LV was saying, just the jaw dropping counters that he's able to pull off at times. But as far as the best pure high flyer, I'd put him at number 2 instead of number 1. And number 3, I would put Flamita up there. This guy really, really impressed the hell out of me when I saw him for the first time this year. I think that this guy's on his way to being the next Dragon Kid of Dragon Gate. For his age, he's crazy good. He's just all over the place. I mean, some of the things he does, it looks like it defies the laws of physics.
As I said, this award is usually the same group of people, just reorganized differently.
Hey, Flamita is a new blood this year. No Pac.
It's new blood. I'm just saying you just both listed him in a different spot. That's the point. I'm sure
All right,
4.
Sorry, we didn't put AR Fox up there.
I think didn't I give AR Fox the 1 last year or the year before?
Both.
AR Fox is awesome. AR Fox, I've said this many times. AR Fox doesn't just do spots. He incorporates his high flying moves as part of his offense, as part of his skill set. He's the flying wrestler. That's what makes when he wrestled. I'll never forget. LV's seen this match. When he wrestled Masada 2 years ago on CCW. That was that was the perfect example of just a high flying wrestler using high flying as not just a spot to wow the crowd, but actual offense in the match. And I don't mean, I know that sounds weird, but I mean it as an actual the best thing I can do to try to beat my opponent is to do some high flying move on him. It worked out very, very well. So yeah, fuck you.
No, I agree. AR Fox is a very high flying wrestler. There's no telling how high he can ascend in this business.
Comedy by Trademark629. It's
dude, I ran into him at the gym. He reeked from a mile away. I ran into him at the gym.
Okay, we all know this.
all right.
We don't need to embarrass the poor guy.
Sorry.
But yes, that's why I give AR Fox a lot of credit. I mean, he doesn't necessarily. I don't think the award should be who does the most impressive high flying spots. I think it should be who's the best high flying wrestler. But I mean, I probably would not have given him number 1 this year. But yeah, just trying to defend my previous year's explanations. But most overrated and most underrated. I love these awards.
These are fun.
We'll start with most overrated. We'll go with you, Jared. Last year's winner of most overrated, I believe, don't tell me, it was Orton. Yeah, okay.
Randy Orton.
Go for it.
Most overrated. Number 1, same guy gave number 1 last year, Ryback. Ryback and The Miz, in my opinion, are just two guys who could just put for this award at any point in time in any year. Just because, these guys suck so much that just them having any kind of spot in the company is they're taking somebody else's spot, and that's how I view them. I just feel like Ryback has been given an infinite amount of chances, and it just sucks at pro wrestling. And I'm not going to stop giving him this award until he's released.
And your number 3?
My number 2 and 3, these are a little bit, not two guys who are completely awful, but just two guys who I think are overrated. Number 2 is Roman Reigns. I think, and I gave this guy Rookie of the Year last year. I do like Roman Reigns. I mean, a lot of people think I don't like him. It's more of just I'm kind of in fear of him getting the massive Mania push that he's rumored to be getting. And I just feel like WWE's acting like he's God when he hasn't done anything yet. I feel like the guy isn't very charismatic, is pretty green in the ring, and WWE's just, like I said, they're acting like he's God, and I feel like he is presented as a much bigger deal than he is. I feel like he just hasn't established a very strong audience connection, and from a performance standpoint, I don't think that he's where he needs to be for the spot that he's in. And number 3, this is a guy who's really good, but very apropos, especially if you've been following me on Twitter. Number 3 is Adam Cole. I really like Adam Cole. I'm a fan of Adam Cole, but this guy again. It's kind of the Roman Reigns thing. He was treated as like a god of the Indies, and I just didn't need to see Adam Cole in every single ROH and PWG main event for like a year. You know what I mean? It's just very excessive. I think that Adam Cole's a very good pro wrestler, but he's also really, really young, and there are a lot of other guys in the Indies who are better than him, and it was very visible. Like, when you watch these PWG and ROH shows that, like, you watch these shows in full, and, like, the main event doesn't feel like the culmination or the climax of the evening. It feels like, okay, well, this match has the title. There were other bigger matches earlier in the night, and it was just oversaturation with Cole. I feel like, having him be the champion of 2 major companies was just too much.
LV?
Well, this, I guess, is our first of our negative awards, and this is going to be the first of many times I'm going to mention a promotion called Resistance Pro Wrestling, because oh my god. So I guess my first little semi-rant, my most overrated is Josephus from Resistance Pro. A lot of you may not know who he is, but if you ever watch Resistance Pro and you see how much effort they put into this guy, it's just so overwhelming. I'm like, dude, why is this guy on my computer, on my DVD, on whatever it is I bought Resistance Pro? This guy sucks in the ring. He's just so bad. And I think the only maybe 2 good qualities that he has is his wife. That's his valet, because I do think she's cute.
Wow.
And I also think that his gimmick is okay. It's kind of like a Mordecai type of thing, but as soon as the bell rings, it's just so bad. And it's just one of the many things that makes Resistance Pro such a terrible promotion to watch. Just terrible. Spoiler alert. Anyways, our number 2 is Madman Pondo from IWA Mid-South. Jesus Christ. Like, the way they push this guy on these IWA Mid-South shows, and I understand he's a legend in that promotion and yada, yada, yada. But again, good God. I mean, it's just like every match he has, it just ends like in seconds, and they make it seem like it's some big deal. It's like it's just segment by segment. It's such a waste of time. And number 3, geez, I just had in my head, who was it? I had Madman Pondo, and I thought of somebody else just quickly off the top of my head. You know what? If it pops up in my head, I'll get back to y'all on that. Dang, I just had it in my head.
Scrolling through the roster on Resistance Pro's website, and I can see why you hate them so much.
I mean, it's just so bad. It's just so terrible.
What okay, like, before you think of it, if you had to pick a name from Jared's list that you would give as the 3, who would you give it to? Before you think of yours.
So he had Ryback, Roman Reigns, and
Adam Cole.
Well, I think one of the things about most overrated, I do think like the push has to be considered, and I like Roman Reigns, but I really don't think he's the guy. And to be completely honest, I don't think nobody in WWE is the guy besides Cena and maybe Orton. And really, that's no fault of anybody's but the WWE. So if I had to choose just on push alone, I would say Roman Reigns. So here you go.
And if your name comes back to you, obviously include it.
Bring it up.
Next, we go to most underrated. This is usually a pretty easy award. Us wrestling fans, we have a stereotype of being like, begrudged, saddened that our favorite heroes don't get the credit they deserve. This is usually a lot of fun. Last year's award winner was Cesaro, and LV started off.
Oh, you know what? It just came up on my head for most overrated.
Who was it?
So just go real quickly, and I like the guy as a talent scout, but DJ Hyde, Jesus Christ, get off my CZW shows, my WSU shows. I mean, Jesus, to quote Zandig. So there you go with DJ Hyde. For most underrated, I think many people would agree. I would say it's Cesaro. The fact that he was pushed to the moon on WrestleMania. Everybody was going crazy. I was at WrestleMania weekend myself. People were doing the dun 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 dun, dun thing,
That was
and
so much fun.
and yeah, and they didn't go along with it. Like it lasted for like maybe like 2 days. I mean, I remember when I went to the airport, people were doing it. I mean, it was just crazy to see. So I would say Cesaro. Number two, really is not a single person. It's like a tag team. And Big Rat and me talked about these guys earlier. I would say Team Tremendous.
Yes.
To me, this is probably the most underrated tag team in wrestling. I don't think they get talked about enough here. But it's like I said, like 2015, really watch out for this particular tag team. And I would say my number three, and many people may not like this, but y'all need to give more respect to Timothy Thatcher, damn it. Timothy Thatcher, you guys suck. You guys suck for burying this guy, because I'll say, oh my god, he put me to sleep. I mean, well, shit. I mean, you know, like, I mean, I don't need to see 100,000 moves in every single match. I mean, you know, ain't some appreciation for the guy. Shit.
The checklist.
The checklist. Oh my god. Such a classic. Nah, Timothy Thatcher is good. And obviously, I mean, Team Tremendous, I love them so much. Team Tremendous, they are. When I first saw them, when I first saw Team Tremendous, Dan Bailey and Bill Carr, if I've had those names correctly, they just kind of wow you. Like, I don't know, they like whenever they walked into the room, they had a presence about them that like everybody in the room was just attracted to them and like looked right at them. And I wasn't at the show, but the show in between the two shows I went to, they actually beat Red Dragon at Beyond. And I imagine it was a pretty good match. But yeah, Team Tremendous, they're tremendous. Like no other way around it. Jared, your turn.
Number one for me is also Cesaro. He won the award last year. I have him at number two. And he was just as underrated this year as he was last year, but I think, like LV said, it was the thing that aggravated me more this year about the way he was pushed was that it was like they teased something with him and then they did not follow up in typical fashion. But it's like after Mania, I was hyped up about Cesaro. I'm like, all right, this is the next guy. Like I figured with Bryan as champion, I'm like, all right, we're like, wow, the possibility of like a title defense with Cesaro was very real. I mean, I figured like, oh, why couldn't this happen on like a B-level pay-per-view? And then like they just did nothing with him. I mean, the Heyman thing was such a bad idea. Like it wasn't even the principle of him being with Heyman; it was the principle of him being a heel, because it just was not the right natural direction to go with after Mania, and he has done absolutely nothing since then. And number two, I would put Tomoaki Onma from New Japan. This guy has been unbelievably underrated for years, and a lot of people realized that during the G1, where he lost every single match he was in. Even when the seeding was all figured out, and on like the last day of the block matches, he was wrestling Shelton Benjamin. They couldn't even let him beat Shelton. They really just do not view this guy as anything, but all his matches are always like really, really, really red hot, and he just has this connection and this charisma that people really just undervalue and underappreciate. He's low key one of the top performers on New Japan, probably like, you know, you could argue top 10. He's really, really, really damn good. Number three is Dolph Ziggler, for the same generic reasons that are given for Dolph Ziggler every year. For one reason or another, whenever WWE gives him a minor push, it never lasts more than like a month or two. You know, he wins the main event of Survivor Series, and then the very next month he's curtain jerking for the IC title. You know, that's just the life of Dolph Ziggler in the WWE.
Hey, that was a good moment for Dolph. In front of his home crowd like that, that was awesome.
Well, it was, but it's just the principle of him going for a title that hasn't meant anything in forever.
Well, that match gave that title a lot of meaning. I'll say that much.
We'll see how far it goes.
Probably not far. I'm not going to win this battle. My apologies. All these guys are extremely talented. I'd be shocked if Cesaro doesn't actually like win the award again, like from Dave's like actual polls and stuff. Next, we get to Promotion of the Year.
The most unpredictable award of the year.
Jared.
uh, New Japan for the same reasons that they've won for the last few years, but more so this year. I think that this year, more you saw more expansion for them this year. They with the New Japan Network, the New Japan World, um, using more U.S. talent. Getting the partnership with Global Force Wrestling. They're going to be doing Wrestle Kingdom as a live pay-per-view in the U.S., which is big. So just expanding their international influence, pushing different guys, getting more people on the roster, working with Ring of Honor. So I think that, and on top of that, like from a quality standpoint, the G1 Climax really just boosts their case for this award more than anything because we thought last year's G1 was amazing. And this year's just blew it out of the water. It was by far the best wrestling tournament in history.
2 and 3?
2 and 3. Number 2 would be Dragon Gate. From a consistency standpoint, I thought they had a lot of pretty damn great shows this year. A very reliable product that was doing very well business-wise. Number 3, I'd actually put Ring of Honor. Now, I know Ring of Honor, they didn't have the greatest year quality-wise. They've kind of been in a holding pattern ever since Delirious took over as booker. And I wouldn't say that it was too big of a difference quality-wise than it was in 2013. But I think that from a promotional standpoint and making strides and improvements business-wise, such as getting new talent, running different markets, working with New Japan, and just doing more to raise their stock in the hierarchy of wrestling promotions. I think that Ring of Honor made some progress this year, and I would put them at number 3. I think they had a solid year. PWG, I wouldn't really put on here just because I don't think that. I mean, nothing ever changes for them business wise, and I think that this year they had a pretty a good year, but nothing exceptional really. I don't think that any of their shows were really that oh my god awesome or anything like that.
LV.
Well, this was actually a really tough award for me since I watch a lot of wrestling. That's my gimmick, and really for me, like it really just came down to 2 promotions, and I've just been going back and forth for like the past maybe like 3 months since I saw the G1. And it really just came down to Absolute Intense Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I would say based off the consistency of the promotion, and I would say based off what else they offered, I would have to go with Absolute Intense Wrestling by a hair. Like it was really, really that close. The thing about with Absolute Intense Wrestling, with their consistency, when New Japan was going on, obviously they had their Tokyo Dome show, and they've really been quiet from that point on up until the G1. So I do think New Japan kind of loses points for me on that. Meanwhile, with AIW, they had the whole feuds with, I mentioned before, Veda Scott and Gregory Iron. They had Matt Cross and Josh Prohibition. They had the whole storyline with Tim Donst going after the AIW championship. They had at one point in time Michael Elgin, who was the AIW champion, who actually was in the JT Lightning tournament, and he defended the championship throughout the whole entire tournament. They had Josh Alexander coming back. Tim Donst and Josh Alexander was fighting over who should be the AIW number 1 contender champion or whatever, number 1 contender. And they had like an hour-long draw. They then had like another match with Michael Elgin that went to an hour-long draw. Just a whole bunch of stuff was going on. They had Dick Justice, who was part of the Iron Curtain, who finally became like into his own during that time. Just a whole bunch of stuff like with Athena coming back, beating Allison Kay feuding with Leon Von Dutch. I mean, like they had so much stuff going on in that promotion. It was just very exciting to watch. And plus their shows were very, very great. Also, like Ethan Page becoming a face against Eddie Kingston. Just so much stuff was going on in that promotion. With New Japan, you obviously had your stuff, but until they got to the G1, that's when they really started to get hot. And then they went on from there. And so New Japan is my number 2. My number 3 is Dragon Gate. Similar reasons that Jared talked about.
Great promotions. AIW is, I never get to see them as often as I'd like, but whenever I do, I always do have a lot of fun. Just like with the way their ring is set up and everything, like it makes watching wrestling a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm glad to hear that they're doing well. Got the love. They also had the best markout moment of the year with was that this year with what's his name doing the Canadian Destroyer? Biff
Oh, Puff Bagwell.
Buff Bagwell doing the Canadian Destroyer.
Buff Bagwell did a
Yeah.
Canadian Destroyer.
There's how have
Yeah.
you not seen this video? I'm sending it to you right now on Skype. It's
Now I gotta see it. Now I gotta watch this promotion and shit.
yeah, of course. But before you watch the video, tell us your best weekly TV show.
I would say NXT, and then everything else just sucked. And NXT is easy to digest. I really like the format of the show. I like the intimate setting. In the arena at Full Sail University. I like the variety of characters on the show. I like the simplistic old school storytelling. The way that they're able to develop feuds and storylines. I like how they showcase the women's division. A lot of things I like about NXT. It's easily the easiest wrestling show to sit through. I guess I'd put Ring of Honor at number 2. It ain't that bad. I mean, Ring of Honor actually did produce a lot of pretty damn good TV episodes this year because now there's it's kind of like half and half with them. Like as far as emphasis on major IPTV type shows and TV tapings. So they're becoming more TV driven, and as a result, some of the some of the TV episodes are becoming a little bit more must see than some of the house shows. To be honest with you. So the influx of new talent helped that out a little bit. I can't even think of a number 3 really. I mean, Impact was a little bit better than it's been in recent years. I wouldn't say that it was the worst show. You could argue putting it ahead of Raw or SmackDown, but really, I wouldn't say for any of those shows. I wouldn't say that it was a really good year for anybody.
The whatchamacallit, NXT won Sword last year, by the way.
Yep.
Forgot to mention that. LV, your turn.
I'm probably being extremely unfair on what I'm about to say as far as who's my number 1, but Lucha Underground is just freaking awesome. I'm sorry.
I haven't seen Lucha Underground, and
dude, you need to see that show. What's wrong with you? But anyways, I'm probably being extremely unfair because it's only been on for like a few weeks. But Jesus Christ, like
holy shit!
That show's been like that show exceeded my expectations by a country mile. I wasn't expecting much out of that show, but like the production, as far as wrestling standards go these days, I think it's spectacular. The matches I think are great. They had Puma, aka Ricochet, against John Morrison. They recently had a what was it? A 10-man match on last week's show. That was just great to see. They have a lot of characters. They have people from the AAA promotion involved in there. So I really have enjoyed this show. So that's my number 1. I'm sorry for people that may think, wait a minute, it's only been on for a few weeks. So anyways, my number 2 actually is AAA on Simulente. I really enjoyed this show a lot. The angles that's go on. I think Conan at times can be a really, really creative guy, and I do think he does that a lot, though. So I've enjoyed the AAA Simulente show, and there's some episodes I'm just like, what is this? But overall, I've enjoyed it a lot. And my number 3, I would say, is Ring of Honor. I think they're it was pretty much what Jared talked about. Now some people are going to say, what about NXT? And the thing about NXT is that their specials are awesome. The television shows, and if you kind of compare to Lucha Underground, I don't think it's a contest. With Simulente, maybe you can argue, but I don't think you can argue much. Ring of Honor, I do think it's kind of the same thing. I don't think you can argue much about it, but that's just my opinion.
NXT, all those specials are amazing, and all their non-specials are kind of hit and miss, but it's not like they deserve, it's not like they just shouldn't get credit for those specials either. I know they're not as often, but those specials really are like the best episodes of television of any show ever. So
no doubt. I mean, our Evolution, a lot of people were saying was the best WWE produced show of the year. I'd say it's neck and neck with Mania for that.
And we'll get to show of the year in a sec. But first, let's go to match of the year. Probably the award that's mentioned the most often, like throughout the year. Like no one really says like, "Oh, this is going to win best weekly TV show. This is going to win promotion."
Yeah.
Like we constantly say the words MOTY, short for MOTYC. So
Yep.
I'm personally excited because I've seen I've seen a few. I can tell you guys what my match of the year is after. But Jared, what are your top 3 matches of the year?
Oh, you know I'm excited. This is my award right here.
Let me also say, before the match mark gets ready, this award last year was won by Tanahashi Okada. In my opinion, they're not even their best match last year. The Invasion Attack match won match of the year. Myself and many other people think the King of Pro Wrestling match should have won. But,
It's the whole that's the problem with having a match so late in the year, late in the eligibility year.
yeah.
Or the fiscal year for Observer Awards. So anyway, let's just get on to the 2014 match of the year, which in my opinion was Minoru Suzuki versus AJ Styles from the G1 Climax. This match was just flawlessly executed. I was so into the storytelling of this match. I think that everything, the little things in this match really just made this click. It was in the same vein as Suzuki's match with Hiroshi Tanahashi that won match of the year in 2012. This was G1 Day 7, wasn't even the main event of this show, and I just thought these guys told a phenomenal story in the ring. I thought that AJ's selling was perfect. I thought that the execution of all of Suzuki's submissions and the transitions and the sequences that they put together were just fantastic. The way Suzuki weaved in and out of his holds as he just destroyed AJ's arm. There were a lot of other great elements in here like that. There was a moment in the middle of the match where I believe there was a brawl at ringside between members of Suzuki Gun and the Bullet Club, and Minoru Suzuki, while he was working over AJ, he took his hand and he bent it to make the Bullet Club gun symbol, and in doing so, he was trying to break AJ's finger, which was a really just a nice little touch right there, the little bit of extra storytelling in that point, and the finishing sequence was amazing. Everything about this match was just executed to a T, and it was the exclamation point on AJ Styles 2014, which I'd say was the best year of his career. My number 2 would be Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Katsuyori Shibata. Gave this number 3 Feud of the year, and this match really I should say that this is the match they had from the Destruction in Kobe show, not the G1 Climax match. This match was, again, amazing. I think that everything I talked about with these guys' history together, they kind of rolled it all into this match and really took you through their whole journey together. The facial expressions really made this match. There was a lot of drama right here. It was just a really great match that kind of blurred the lines a little bit with the real life elements to it that really made you buy into the story, and both guys really legit disliking each other. And I just thought they put together a really freaking incredible match. Number 3 is Tomohiro Ishii versus Hiroki Goto from Power Struggle in November. This is a match that's probably going to get forgotten about a little bit just because it, again, happened so late in the year. But I thought that, Ishii, he was the pick for Most Outstanding Wrestler, and this was the best match that he had all year, in my opinion. This match was just unbelievably brutal and stiff. It was 2 guys kicking the fucking shit out of each other, and it was a very matchup too. I talked about it in my review of the show, how this is a match I kind of always wished would have happened and never did. They finally clashed, and what I loved about this match is that Ishii's kind of developed a bit of a cult following, so he's kind of been an underdog babyface in a lot of his matches, and in this match he's able to play a heel because Goto is one of the more unanimously over babyfaces in New Japan. So I just think he fits into that role so much better, and it really allowed him to be more of an aggressor, bully type. And I thought him and Goto just worked incredibly together, and they put together a freaking awesome, realistic, brutal match.
Yeah. Dave Meltzer, I believe, gave Tanahashi Shibata 5 stars.
Yes, he did. That is his only 5-star of the year.
And did he give the other 2 4 3/4?
Yeah, he gave a lot of matches 4 3/4 this year, a lot.
Would you give all 3?
I would give Suzuki and AJ 5 stars. to me, 5 stars is just like perfection. And Suzuki AJ, when that ended, I was like that. This was a complete perfect match. And Tanahashi Shibata and Ishii Goto, I would both give 4 3/4.
Okay. LV, your turn. Tell us about the Resistance Pro Wrestling main event that no one has seen. That is one match of the year.
Shit, fuck that. Anyways, let me start off though with a little background, because I was asked by Trademark to join you two to do this, and I got to be honest, I was very, very hesitant of doing this because this would have to lead me to tell y'all my match of the year. And for those of you who are not aware, all year long I've been doing a huge list of my top matches of the year, which now is over 250 matches. Now, and not only that though, but fun fact, the origin of this list came from actually Big Rat 310 himself, if he doesn't know that.
Oh, thank you.
But anyways, getting into it, I was very hesitant about doing this, but I will do it because of the fact that we are now I'm almost done with the year, because usually the stuff that happens this month goes on the DVD and video on demand next month. So I really want to get the best complete list I can. So that's going to happen somewhere like mid-January, the end of January. So I'm like, hey, what the hell? So anyways, with all that being said, I'm going to first give a shameful plug. Once I do upload my list, I suggest everybody check it out. This is one of the best lists I've ever done. This is wrestling from legitimately all over the world. I'm proud of this list. This is one of the reasons why I'm still doing this, to expand wrestling to everybody out there who gets tired of certain other promotions out there. But anyways, with all that being said, let's get to my top 3. I'm going to start with number 3, and hold on to your chair, Jared. Number 3 is AJ Styles against Minoru Suzuki. And hold on to your chair even more, Jared. I did not rate this 5 stars.
Oof.
I actually rated this 4 3/4. Now, I don't want people to go into an Undertaker. I don't want people to go into an Undertaker Shawn Michaels 2.0 debate. But I thought it was a really, really great match. I thought it was 4 3/4 stars. I don't think it was 5 stars, but at the same time, I won't argue with anyone who says it was 5 stars. My number 2 actually is Tetsuya Naito against Tomohiro Ishii from the New Beginning show from New Japan in Osaka. I thought that match was really the standard of Ishii matches as well as Naito matches, but especially with Ishii. Obviously, you can name 1,000 Ishii, well, not 1,000, but you know what I mean. A lot of Ishii matches this year that may be better than this, and that's all fine and good. But I thought this was the best match that Ishii had this year, 4 3/4 for me at the New Beginning. And my number 1, and people may have never seen this match before. Never seen it, and let me say at the very beginning, this match is not for everybody. So I'm going to make that clear. It is Psycho Clown against El Toxico Jr. from Triple Mania from AAA this year. I love this match to death. I gave this 5 stars. I love this to the bitter end. The only 2 people I heard raving about this match is obviously Rob Viper. Those of you may know Rob Viper, and Dr. Lucha Steve Sims. These are the only 2 people that I knew had talked about this match. But again, I think of many reasons because it's not for everybody. But the crowd was just unbelievable during this match. And there was blood, there was guts, there was hardcore stuff. The crowd, the facial expressions from the crowd, I just loved it to death. And the reason why I say may not be for everybody is because there are a few chair shots, but not to the extent I think, like Adam Cole, Jay Briscoe, or anything like that. But just that disclaimer, may not be for everybody. But geez, I just love this match to death. So that's my number 1.
These whatchamacallit, this is an absolutely wonderful list. I gotta say, like this is fantastic. I used to watch Triple Mania every year. I did not this year, actually, unfortunately. Kind of correlating to my...
It's a great show.
No, I can imagine. This match you've gotten me excited about this one. This is definitely going to be one I want to check out, and I have appreciation for this massive list. This ability to keep up with any relevant promotion ever is unlike anything I've ever seen. And when that video does get uploaded, I shall be promoting it myself, and it shall be in the description box of this video, most likely, because everyone deserves to see it. So, thank you.
It's all your fault too, Big Rat. It's all your fault too, Big Rat.
Hey, man, I needed someone to take over the reins once my Match of the Year lists kind of went to hell, like they have the past 2 years. So thank you for that. But honestly, a lot of great matches here. Everybody, please check all 3 of these. I won't post them in the description box to preserve LV's list for now. When it gets uploaded, maybe I'll post them in. But you all got to watch all of these matches.
If I could add something too, for those of you yes, I have listened to some of the complaints last year about my list, or the year before. Yes, I will post the whole entire PDF form of all the matches, so I will do that too. Just to let y'all know.
Okay, that's actually very cool. Props on that. But this is an awesome list. Both of you guys did a damn good job. Both of these guys are really on top of their game when it comes to the best matches worldwide, not just stuff that you'd see in WWE, Ring of Honor, or PWG. And I think the New Japan matches we have here show appreciation of that, and I think the Triple Mania match is getting a lot of love, which is probably a great thing. So yeah, a lot of great matches. Check them out. Now we got an award that's usually very hard. This award's usually very tough. It might be easy for LV. I have a name in mind that I want to say afterwards. Oh, I forgot to give my match of the year. I haven't seen a lot of wrestling this year, but I will say the match I haven't watched it back on tape. So that's a problem. Like, as we all know, LV, you were there for Actually, Jared, you were there too. You both were there for WrestleMania 28, The Rock versus John Cena. That match live was insane. That match live was like a 4.5-star match, it felt like, to most of us. And when we rewatched it back on tape, of course, we felt differently. So, haven't watched it back, as that little disclaimer. But the Young Bucks versus Red Dragon from the ROH New Japan show in New York City, May 17th. That is still to this day the best tag team match I've ever seen live. Ever. And it gave the last 10 minutes. I think my friend Ben, a friend of the podcast, friend of all of us, texted me after the match. That finishing sequence was like nothing we ever see on the U.S. Indies. And it really did provide a rush and a source of adrenaline that I've never seen. Kyle O'Reilly, if you remember after the match, Kyle O'Reilly was almost in tears after the match because I think he was just so overcome with the emotion and the adrenaline that the match put on him. So it's that would be my pick right now. I want to see all 5 of these matches, of course, but that's something that I thought deserved a little mention here on the show. I think that's ROH's match of the year. It's
not crazy to say. I mean, I think it's the best match that ROH has had in several years, and it would be in my top 10.
Yeah, it's a wonderful match. But Rookie of the Year, LV, we're going to start with you, because Jared might have to form his list upon hearing your list.
Probably. But, I got 3 names.
Okay, but LV, start us off with Rookie of the Year.
Well, let me first off by say that I hate this award because of the observer qualifications, because you have to go by a certain year. Mm-hmm. And my number one barely missed the cut to be qualified.
Okay.
So I'm basically screw this award as far as casting my ballot for the observer. But for me personally, my Rookie of the Year is from CMLL, and that's Barbarario Cavanario. This guy is awesome, just awesome. Now, I will say there's certain points that he does a lot of bumps. That's a lot of questionable, and I worry about his health sometimes, much like I worry about AR Fox when he first started. But, geez, this guy's great. I would say the Embusco Don Idolo tournament I saw from CML, in which they feature all of the I guess you would say rookies, but maybe the first 2 years for people. For these guys in this tournament, I thought Cavanario, I thought he stood out the most out of everybody, and he actually ended up winning the tournament, and I was just so happy when he won it. So I'm very excited for him to CML and see where he goes. My other 2 guys is also from CML. I have Ichiserio as my number 2. and I have Dragon Lee as my number 3. Now, I'm not sure if those guys are really considered rookies. I really don't care. Just the fact that they're young and they're hungry and they're just great to see. I will say those are my top 3. You can add in probably Flamenta in there. Again, I don't know if he's a legit rookie, but there you go.
Well, who was your number 2 again?
It was a Hitchiserio. I think that's how you say it. For CL.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll find it if I can't find it. Jared, your turn.
Rookie of the year. My number 1 is Rusev. I talked about him under most. When I put him up for most improved, I believe. Pretty much like the same stuff I said about him earlier in the video about how I kind of had my doubts about him and the character when the year started. I thought at start this was going to be an outdated gimmick that just wouldn't work in 2014, and he really made a big impact and was one of the few truly effective, impactful big men, I think. In wrestling, especially in an environment where we've seen so many big guys come and go in WWE, and I think that Rusev really made himself stand out from the pack. I think that he was just really a great all-around performer in the ring and showed that he has a lot of potential to be a unique face, working potentially top of the card for WWE in the near future. So I was just really impressed at how much I was entertained by him throughout the year. My number 2 is Trevor Lee. Trevor Lee is, I think he's like 21 or something like that. The guy's really young, and he's just a ball of energy. He's extremely athletic. He pulls off this move that I've never seen before, where he does like this midair crossbody counter, when a guy's running at him, leaping like they're going to try like a running crossbody, and then he just like jumps in midair, and like the two basically like collide and then spin like you'd see in a video game. It's just crazy. And he has he's been ripping it up Mid-Atlantic and West Coast for PWG. So this is I believe he qualifies for this award. This is the first that I've heard of him this year, and I thought that he had a lot of great performances all across the board in the US. And number 3, again, I'm not sure if this is somebody who qualifies, but I'm putting her up as a candidate. Yes, it is a female wrestler, Sasha Banks, in NXT. I think that Sasha Banks has a ton of potential to be a top diva in WWE. Not saying a whole lot, but I think that, in that category. But I really think that Sasha Banks is a great worker. She's really charismatic. She's just a great all-around performer. And I think that she's got what it takes to be one of those standout women that people really take notice of and say wow, she's in a class above most of the other divas. And I think her match with Charlotte from TakeOver R Evolution really showed what she's all about. And I look forward to seeing more from her in the future. She's also very, very young. She's only 22 years old.
If I could say something about Trevor Lee, for those of you who are not aware, and I think I'm the only person that actually watched this match. There's actually a match with him and Andrew Everett. It's like a 63-minute match. You guys have to see that match from CWF Mid-Atlantic. Awesome match.
Trevor, future's bright for pro wrestling, essentially, for all these guys, for the most part. A lot of good talent up here. Rusev is like the typical guy that most indie fans should hate. Just like big, muscular, gets pushed too quickly, blah, blah, blah. But he's kind of been like a little bit of a darling. A lot of people really get a kick out of watching him. Everyone's really entertained by almost all of his matches. He's someone I like a lot. So
definitely,
future's bright for pro wrestling, based on this list. These lists, plural. Next we get to best non-wrestler. Last year's winner was Gavin Loudspeaker. Paul Heyman. Actually, no, it was William Regal. No, that was announcer. Yeah. No, best non-wrestler. Yeah, it was Paul Heyman.
Take a minute, breathe.
Jared, go.
Paul Heyman, best non-wrestler. It's kind of self-explanatory. He's the best talker in the business, best at selling a program, best at getting whoever he's managing over. Number two, I'm going to give to Bruce Tharp. NWA president, I believe, or something like that. He is basically the NWA representative over in New Japan, and he is an awesome manager. He is so animated at ringside. He's always throwing like these rabid temper tantrums whenever his wrestler is doing badly, and he's always talking about how his American NWA wrestlers are here to claim superiority in Japan, and he's just gotten more and more entertaining the more experience that he's gotten in this role. And I used to dread watching the obligatory NWA match on the New Japan iPay-per-views, and now I look forward to them because I get to see Bruce Tharp. Number 3, I would put Stephanie McMahon. She technically did wrestle a match this year, but Big Red, I think you've said this before on Twitter, she is just so great at being a bitch.
Yeah.
She's just somebody that's so easy to hate. I think that she is just great at getting under your skin on the mic.
LV, your turn.
Trademark. How dare you disrespect Stephanie McMahon like that? You have her at number 3. She should clearly be number 1. I mean,
all right.
I mean, my God, she has improved so much over past 10 years. But anyways, I think Stephanie McMahon, I think you said it best, Jared. I think or Big Red. I think she does such a great job of just being a bitch, and I think that's kind of put her over the hump over Paul Heyman, which Paul Heyman is my number 2. Is that and it really, I don't think it's really none of Paul Heyman's fault because I'm such a big fan of his. But when Paul Heyman speaks, I listen and I'm just entertained by what he says. But when Stephanie speaks, I'm just saying to myself, "You are such a bitch. I want someone to slap your fucking face." I just get so angered. But it's not X-Pac heat. It's legit heat for me. That's in my little kayfabe world. It's I just wanted to see her just get hers. And and I really thought this when I was looking back at WrestleMania 30 and the stuff she was doing during the Daniel Bryan Triple H match. I'm just saying to myself, she is so fucking great, but I want her to get her ass whipped. I'm just but anyways, yeah, I would have her at number 1, Paul Heyman number 2, and Bruce Thorpe I actually have at number 3 as well. So those are my top 3.
Stephanie McMahon is an awesome bitch. So yes, I can definitely accept all of these answers. I also did want to. This may be random, but I remember I was thinking this earlier and I never got the chance to say it. For best TV show, I did think SmackDown deserves a little more love than Raw and Impact, only because SmackDown for the past few years, SmackDown has kind of been killed as a brand in terms of they took away the SmackDown roster. They just kind of treated SmackDown like main event, really, just like a show to have matches where nothing important happens. But the past few months, ever since the summer, they've made a legitimate effort to try to have legitimate storyline, important things happen on SmackDown. Dean Ambrose stole Seth Rollins' Money in the Briefcase on SmackDown, and that was the story of Raw, the entire next Raw. The stipulation where Triple H would fire all members of Team Cena if they lost to the Authority at Survivor Series, that was on SmackDown. When the Authority had their last big beatdown of the entire Team Cena team when Triple H pedigreed Ryback, that was on SmackDown. They're trying a lot more, and that show has become a lot easier to watch, I think. Because
storyline-wise, yes, they're putting some effort into it. But as somebody who was, against their will, forced to watch SmackDown for 2 months, let me just say, every single week, the main event didn't have a clean finish. Every single week, it was a DQ or a count-out.
I'm just saying, above Raw and Impact, I can acknowledge its issues as a show in a vacuum. Just saying. But now let's get to best TV announcer. Vic, your turn to start it off.
I really haven't put much thought into this because obviously I don't think no one really stood out like that. I would say really overall, and this may not be fair. I'm actually going to go the Dave Meltzer route. I'm going to go the New Japan lead commentator because I don't know what else to say. It's just that when I'm watching the New Japan show, I just feel more engaged on what he's saying, even though I don't understand what he's saying. So
Shinpei Nogami, baby.
Yeah, so I would have him at number 1. Number 2, and really number 2 and number 3 are just coming off the top. Nigel McGuinness, I guess, even though he doesn't really commentate that much. And number 3, damn. I don't, no, I'm not going to say Michael Cole. That just came to my mind. Jeez, who?
You could say the NXT guys.
Corey Graves.
I guess.
Regal.
Regal doesn't really do much.
Giant Bernard.
Pick one.
You mean Jason Albert? Jason Albert.
Tom Phillips.
Phillips. There it is.
The New Japan commentators. That's such a great answer.
That's my number 1 too.
Well, give them some love, Jared.
One of these days, I can't wait. Nagami is finally going to get his revenge on Izuka bullying him.
Tokyo Dome 2016.
Yep. But yeah, I mean they're excited. That's all I can ask for. I mean, it's we'll get into the opposite of that and why that's such a bad thing. For the next award, but my number 2 and 3 are Steve Corino and Kevin Kelly. I think that Steve Corino and Kevin Kelly are really great at Carino is good. They're great playing off of each other. Carino can be a heel while not burying anybody, and Kelly is a good job as playing the straight man and getting over the angles that need to be gotten over. And I just think they just do a really solid job in ROH.
I love that you guys have agreed on 4 awards total. Like Wrestler of the Year, AJ Styles, Outstanding Wrestler Tomohiro Ishii, Best Box Office Draw, which doesn't even really count because we didn't put that much effort into it. Paul Heyman for Best on Interviews. But one that you guys were able to fully agree on was that the New Japan commentators that neither of you can understand are the best announcers on television.
That's just the state of pro wrestling right there.
There you go. Show me the good announcers.
That's wonderful. All right. Worst TV announcers. Jared, you got excited? So let's talk about them.
All right. It's been a long time coming, and it's about time that this guy finally wins this award. Although I feel like giving this award to as a joint award to 7 different people. But my number 1 worst announcer is Jerry Lawler. I think that the entire WWE announce team is horrible. I think Lawler stood out more than others as just being. He sounds like he's falling asleep out there. I mean, could you be any less excited about doing your job? I mean, I think this guy is just very lazy. I feel like he doesn't even try to get these angles over. And Michael Cole, I think is really busting his ass. I just think the main problem with he's not really what I'd call good, but I think the main problem in general with WWE is just they run so many shows, and these guys are seeing the same shit so many times a week. And it's they get so numb to it. It's so hard to get excited about it, especially when the product isn't any good. So, but I think Lawler has been the worst of the bunch. He just sounds so just uninterested out there, and if he doesn't care, then I can't care. So I think he's the worst. I think I'd put Taz at number 2 for the same reasons I said last year. I just think he's very obnoxious, and he seems to entertain himself more than he entertains anybody else. And number 3, I would put JBL. I don't think that JBL gets enough shit, gets the shit that he deserves. I think that JBL is kind of like the Taz of WWE, that he's very obnoxious and just seems to try more to get himself over than the angles. And I've cringed so many times listening to JBL's announcing. I think that he's way over the top as a heel, and he tries to join in on, the chants and stuff like that. And he's just very annoying to listen to.
Yeah, they all suck. LV.
Okay. For the second time, we are going to go Resistance Pro rant mode here. Worst. Well, you know what? This says worst television announcer, but I'm not even going to consider television because this need to be said. I want you guys to watch one Resistance Pro show this year. I want you to try and go the whole way through without muting it and tell me if there is a worst commentator than C Red. This guy is so bad. He has no type of emotion. And the thing about it is, he's also a manager for the Soul Touchers, and he's pretty charismatic then. And sometimes when he's on the mic cutting a promo for the Soul Touchers, he's pretty good. But Jesus, tap dancing, Christ, this guy sucks on commentary. He has no emotion. He doesn't show no type of reaction to what's going on. And when you see the women wrestling, he is Jerry Lawler worse times 10. He is so bad. And I just say to myself, dude, why are you even why? Billy Corgan, why? Billy Corgan, why are you doing this to me? Why? My number 2 guy, C Red's other guy who's right beside him. And I don't know his name. I don't care to know his name. He sucks too. Moving on. Number 3. Number 3. And some people may not like this, and I like her. I like her a lot. But Renee Young, jeez. Like, you know, sometimes I watch NXT and she would make these little noises when people get hit, like, ooh, ow, ooh, ooh, that hurt. Oh, that like that hurt. Oh. I'm like, like, dude, shut up, please. And then like, I actually agree with Brian Alvarez, aka Chico, on this. Sometimes on NXT, when the Lucha Dragons are wrestling, she says luchas. I also get annoyed with that too. So sorry, Renee Young, I like you. You're very professional. I think you should have a WWE for life. I have a WWE job for life, but the commentary stuff, you kind of need to stay off that. Just stick to interviewing, sweetheart.
C Red and C Red's partner, who we don't even know his name.
Yeah, I was about to say that. It's like best announcer, the New Japan commentators. Number 2 worst, C Red's other guy.
Like, seriously, I mean, like, seriously, I want anybody listening to this right now, go watch a Resistance Pro show from this year. Watch it the whole way through and tell me if there's a worse commentary team than those two. I'm telling you, they are. Ooh,
you know, I know
ooh, oh my gosh, you want to mute?
You mentioned Renee Young making the weird noises. I remember I was watching Evolve. I don't think it was like this year. I think it was like either 2012 or 2013. But there was some guy that they only had to do commentary for a couple shows. But I just remember, like, whenever for some reason, like, Lenny Leonard wasn't doing it, and like
it was probably Arda Okal.
Was it Arda Okal? I don't know, but it was like
Arda Okal did like 3 shows for them.
Some guy was just like, whenever like there would be a high impact move in a match, he would go like, ah.
Sounds like Arda. And I like Arda. He's a smart guy, but
very weird.
Man. Oh, God. Commentary's so bad in pro wrestling. Like,
it really is.
Wow. All right. Let's get to some fun stuff. Like, best major show. I'm sure LV's already got, like, the February Resistance Pro Wrestling show. The August Noah tapings.
The August Noah tapings.
Just like, LV, you're going to start off here. What were your best major shows of this year?
Well, I mean, like, I don't really have a particular show in order because, I mean, to be honest, there's just so many shows that I reviewed. Like, I seriously would forget the scores, so there were some of them I have like an 8.75, and I wouldn't even know. Okay. But anyways,
2 and none.
I would say, I mean, seriously, like, I mean, I can't tell you how many shows I watch from all over Japan, England, Sweden. Like everywhere.
Sweden. They have wrestling over there.
Yeah.
What's your best major show?
Anything involving the G1, basically. So
I'm just gonna put the entire G1 climax.
Nah, that's not fair. That's not fair.
Fine, pick a day.
But day 8.
Okay.
And yeah, like number 2 and 3 is like pretty open, if you ask me.
How about you put like day 7 and like day 9 if you want? No, day 10. Pick day 10.
Yep.
Okay. Day 8, day 7, and day 10. Oh no. Day 8, day 9, day 10. That sounds better.
I'm gonna put 7 and 9. No, LV doesn't remember day. Day 10. Day 10 is the only New Japan show I have seen all year. I watched it with Jared over here. We recorded it together, and the show was very not bad, but very delirious. It was
good. It
was just solid, and yeah. So you don't want here. I'll say day 8, day 7, day 9. Those are probably the 3 you're thinking of. Day 10 is the one that
No,
had
it's
like
not day 9. Day 9 was no. Day 4 would be better than day 9.
I mean, it's LV's list.
I mean, I know it's LV's list, but I'm just saying day 9 was definitely like beneath the.
LV, do you remember day 4?
Hell, dude, like, okay, like for those of you who are not aware, I was so behind on the G1 at one point in time that I took a whole entire week to watch it, and my brain was so fried. Like, I barely remember anything about those shows except a few.
Do you remember do you remember liking the finale show?
Oh yeah, with Nakamura and Okada.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love that show.
What day was that?
That was 12.
You want to put?
Oh my!
Yeah, you
I watched
12 days. Yes.
I watched 12 shows in a week. That's fucking insane.
On the 12th day of G1, New Japan gave to me.
Do you want to put day 12 or day 4? As you can like type them very quickly into Google right now and look up the match listing if you remember.
Oh my god, that's so fitting too because we're recording on Christmas Eve. Holy shit!
Here, I'm gonna guess and put a day 12 for now. Feel free to change. Shut up, Jared. Just quiet.
Babe.
Oh, I really don't care at this point.
I'll put day 4 to make Jared happy. Look, the entire G1 Climax, it's clear. That was the best tournament of the best string of shows of the year. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right, tough guy Jared. Your turn.
Okay. My number 1 is G1 Day 8.
No.
What?
I'm kidding.
Wrong.
All right.
That Day 8 was, this was, I mean, Day 8 and my number 2, Day 7, are probably 2 of the best shows that I've probably ever seen. I thought both these shows were just ridiculously stacked. I think the Day 8 has I'll say this, Day 7 has the Suzuki AJ match, which is my match of the year. So that makes it better than any match on Day 8. But Day 8 had the consistency aspect, and with Day 7 had a solid first half and then like an amazing second half. And then with Day 8, it was pretty much just great matches, starting with the opening match. Like the opening match, I gave 4 stars. Ishii versus David Boy Smith Jr. Over half this card, from a star rating standpoint, over half the card I rated 4 stars or higher, which is unheard of. Both of these shows were just mind blowing. I would just give Day 8 a slight edge due to consistency, but both of these shows were absolutely incredible. Like I said, if you got to pick one, Day 8 is the show of the year. Number 3, I would have Dragon Gate's Dead or Alive. Very, very stacked show. Again, just in the same vein as the G1 show, it's just like great match, and pretty much no crap on there. The main event was a little polarizing. It was the steel cage survival match. I know LV didn't. I don't think he liked that match all that much, but I thought it was entertaining. I thought that it offered something different from the rest of the card. And the rest of the show, you got to see a great match between Flamita and I think it was Jimmy Susumu for the Brave Gate title. You got to see an awesome Ricochet versus Yamato match for the Dreamgate Championship, which in my opinion was Ricochet's best match of the year. So this was a really, really, really fun show, and all 3 of these shows are absolutely fantastic.
A lot of good Puro this year, huh?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
All right, let's get to the fun stuff. We got all this nice, pro wrestling is wonderful, pro wrestling is awesome, for the past, hour and a half. Now we get to the Class B awards, where we get to just talk about how terrible everything is. I like it. Best wrestling maneuver, we're gonna get to that in a sec. We're gonna do best worst show first, but best maneuver, I've already guessed my answer for both of you, and I'm pretty confident I'm gonna be right on that. But first off, worst major wrestling show. Each of you only give one, since you're only gonna vote for one in Dave Meltzer's awards. So Jared, what was the worst show? I mean, Jared, what was the worst show?
I want to name a runner-up too.
All right, fine, go for it.
All right, worst major show. It's got to go to. I would have said TLC, but it doesn't count because it takes place in December. So by default, it goes to Battleground, which
Yay!
is the same show that won the worst show of 2013.
Ironic.
This is just such a we don't give a shit pay-per-view. You had a great opener, and then it was just all downhill from there. A bait and switch with a Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose match that never happened. It's one thing to do like a bad finish to the match, but to not even give them the match, that was just bad. You had a dull Jericho and Bray Wyatt match. The semi-main was a frickin' battle royal for the IC title with a bad finish.
With a projected finish for those of us that had to sit through that shit live.
Yeah. Right. You were even more tortured by this show than the rest of us. You had every single match of this card was like there was something to dislike about it, I'd say, except for the opener. And the main event was fine, but it was just flat. It was just a bad show, very, very dull, and practically no redeeming qualities. But number two on the runner-up show of the year, which might be of worse quality than Battleground, somewhat slightly, but as far as like prominence, Battleground deserves a win. Worst show in my opinion. The runner-up would be Dragon Gate USA's Mercury Rising.
Oh, boo!
Oh,
now, this
you
show,
just had to bring it up.
I'm just gonna say this: this show was so bad that it's the last Dragon Gate USA show that's ever taken place.
Oh my god! I just realized that. Yes.
You want to talk about an indie crowd just rebelling against a show and just rejecting everything? Here you go.
I was seriously saying to myself, I should have went to the Hall of Fame.
Same.
All three of us were at this show, and we were not in a good mood when it ended.
No, like it was the type of show where like you don't want it to redeem itself. Like you didn't want like Johnny Gargano versus Low Key to be a good match. You were like, no, I'm so mad at everything on this show that the only solace I can take on leaving the show is knowing that the show is truly the worst show I've ever seen. So no, don't be good. It's over. It's unredeemable. And the main event I thought was very average, very like not at all what it could have been, which was the
fucking Teddy Hart.
Well, I was talking about bad influence in the Bravados. Because the Teddy Hart match, quote unquote, is the most insane thing I've ever seen in pro wrestling.
Oh my god!
The crowd chanted "Fire Russo." So yeah, Mercury Rising, awful. LV, your worst show.
Well, once again, we are going to go into Resistance Pro mode again. And for this particular show, and maybe a shocker to some, it was actually an all-women's show. And this was called Resistance Pro Girls, Girls, Girls. This show was just so bad on so many levels. You had like under 5-minute women's matches throughout the whole entire show. And what's crazy about it, too, is that if you watch the matches, there's a big screen, and it has actually the time limit on there, and it counts down from 5 minutes to 0. So the women actually have to look at the screen each time to see how much time they have left to call it home.
Oh, God.
It was so... I mean, it was just so bad. And you saw like DQ finishes, countouts, no contest. You had C-Red and the other guy on commentary to make it even more worse.
C-Red and the other guy.
I mean, it was just really, really bad stuff to watch. So Resistance Pro, you have quite the 2014. And we're not done yet with that. So there you go with that.
Wow. This show sounds wonderful. Jared, you and I should maybe have a few drinks and put this show on and record a review of it or something.
You mean a throwback to the old days?
Yeah, man, that'd be something else. Although old WCW would probably be more fun.
And Heroes of Wrestling.
True. Oh God. LV, Jared.
Yeah.
LV, I'll go to you first. Your best maneuver. I've already guessed it. I'm praying I'm right on this.
The Meltzer driver.
There we go! Yeah, baby! The Meltzer driver for the win. I'm pretty confident this is actually going to win the award.
Oh, yeah.
I presume that's yours too, Jared?
Oh, yeah. It was invented this year.
Yeah. One of the guys I follow on Twitter who likes ripping on Lance Storm. Someone sent Lance Storm a gif of the Meltzer driver, and Lance Storm just asked, "Wait, why is there a flip?" And just couldn't help but laugh upon seeing that. Because I didn't listen to every single Wrestling Observer Radio this year. Did Dave comment on like when he found out the Meltzer driver was a thing?
I don't know, actually.
LV?
It's on YouTube. He was marking out like crazy over it.
Oh wow. Okay, I'm gonna look this up after the show. All right.
I think the title is Dave Meltzer puts over the Young Bucks.
Okay. Yeah, because he's really high on them now. He wasn't as high on them at the start of the year. It's kind of funny to see the transformation. Most disgusting promotional tactic. Jared, your turn.
This is easy for me. Very, very, very easy. WWE's relentless shilling of the WWE Network. I mean, it's self-explanatory. It is everywhere. The numbers are not where they want them to be, and yeah, it's every show. It's in your face. They even made a $9.99 music video. They created a song and then made a music video for it.
Yeah.
And the worst part about all this is why it was most disgusting, is because they took it to a level to where they were insulting people who paid $54.95 for pay-per-views because they weren't watching on the network. People are overpaying for your show and giving you like six times as much money as you're asking for, and it's like, I guess you don't like money. if you're really that bothered by it.
LV?
My most disgusting promotional tactic of the year went to the WWE, but it's not the WWE Network. Like, I was just so annoyed and kind of disgusted when WWE offered Michael Sam to come to Raw, immediately after he got cut by the Cowboys.
Yeah.
I just thought to myself, I'm just like, why? And it's obvious why. I really don't want to get into that part of the discussion here, but I just didn't like it. I just thought it was just really, really bad, and I think it's really a huge problem in which you want a certain lifestyle to be typical in society, but if you keep calling attention to it, and it's completely obvious that's what it was about, it's not good. It's not good. So I don't want to go too deep into that part, but the whole Michael Sam stuff, I just hated it, really did. But it's WWE typical stuff, though.
Yep, unfortunately. Nah, both of these things were really, really, really pretty shitty. So
yeah,
nothing more you could say. Worst TV show. I have a feeling on what LV's going to say, but Jared, you first.
Raw. And I actually said last year that Raw was underrated. I thought that Raw actually had some redeeming qualities. It was just like way too long. This year, Raw still did have some quality matches and stuff, but the bad really outweighed the good, especially in the second half of the year. It was just becoming unbearable. And I remember people would tell me about this, especially in the fall while I was interning. And the thing was, like, I was watching SmackDown every week, and they would always show Raw recaps and stuff. And not to mention, it's just like, when you're at the office and you're seeing this shit on TV, they got the network on like all the TVs every day. So it's like I've got my fill of wrestling, especially WWE, and like I didn't watch Raw during this time because I had had enough. I didn't I was around WWE like for several hours, 3 days a week, and everyone was saying like, oh my god, like Raw, it's so bad. And then once I actually finally decided sit down, I was like watch it. I was like, wow. It really is as bad as everybody was saying.
Impressive. LV?
Well, you know what? I'm actually going to give Resistance Pro a little bit of a break.
Wait,
because
they have a TV show?
Only because I'm not sure if it is an actual television show.
Yeah, it's like now, an online thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to give them a little bit of a break just off of technicality, because from what I understand, they have a show, but it's on YouTube, it's online, whatever the case is. So, with all that being said, I would say the worst show on television is Raw. pretty much self-explanatory. It's 3 hours is way too long. Just the stuff they do on there. I mean, it's pretty much self-explanatory. I really don't want to go into it. Jared basically capped it all off with that. So Raw's my worst show.
What about worst work match of the year? LV, your turn.
Worst work match of the year. You know what? I actually haven't thought about this.
Probably one
Resistance
match
Pro.
from Girls, Resistance Pro.
Well, you know, the thing about Girls, even though it was a horrible show, you know, like some of the matches, I didn't really have that much expectations for it, so I didn't really rate it as low as I think some people think I should have. Jeez, dang, like this came out of nowhere for me. Worst show. Worst. Well, not worst show, worst match. Well, I mean, the TLC pay-per-view had that stairs match. I really didn't like that stairs match. I actually like the chairs match more than the stairs match. I'm sorry. Jeez. You know what? You know, you may need to come back to me on that one.
No worries.
That came out of nowhere for me.
Jared?
My worst match of the year is the Premier Athlete brand versus Chuck Taylor.
Yes.
And whoever decides to join him, which in this case included Biff Busick and Teddy Hart. We were talking about this with Mercury Rising. This is like one of the most this is one of the strangest pro wrestling matches I think I've ever seen. And it just got more and more ridiculous as it went on. The booking didn't make any sense. The crowd turned against the match. It was just an abomination from a booking standpoint. But there are some other nominees that I'd like to talk about here because this was actually a hard award to give out. We also have up for candidates here. We have the Divas Traditional Survivor Series Elimination match, which was also a disaster. This match was like 15 minutes long, and whoever was the agent for this match, I'd really like to have a conversation with because this was one of the worst laid out WWE matches that I've seen in quite some time. I mean, nobody looked like they had any clue what they were doing. They were constantly repeating sequences and fucking things up. It was just a fucking disaster. Then we also had John Cena versus Bray Wyatt in a steel cage match at Extreme Rules, which was, I'm sure we'll get a lot of votes for this award because that was also a complete booking travesty that didn't make any damn sense. And you also had the Gracies in New Japan. They had some gems with Nagata and Sakuraba. So yeah, this year had some pretty shitty matches.
LV, you should just put that Dragon Gate USA Mercury Rising match as your choice.
You know what? I'm actually going to try and find the video of me reviewing that girls show and look at the star ratings because I'm just curious now. It's been so long since I reviewed that. What the hell is it at?
I'm putting on your list something from Resistance Pros. Girls. Here, we'll continue on. Let me know if you find anything else there. That Premier Athlete brand versus Chuck Taylor, Biff Busick, and Teddy Hart. That was like something, a Fire Russo chant and a "This is stupid" chant, which is like really hard to generate.
Stupid, yeah.
That's like, think about like how bad a match must be to generate a "This is stupid" chant. Mostly started by the section of myself, these two, and our friends JP and Ben. Find them on Twitter at I_am_Hollywood and Ben Turpin. And another guy who's going to kill me for forgetting his name, who I just met at that show. All of us were in revolting, what's the word? Fighting back against the...
Rebelling.
Rebelling. There you go. Worst feud of the year. Previous awards, I forgot to mention them, but best finishing maneuver last year was Okada's Rainmaker. Most disgusting promotional tactic was WWE exploiting the death of Paul Bearer. Worst TV show was Impact. And worst worked match of the year last year was I actually don't remember this.
It was the Divas.
Oh, it was the Divas Survivor Series match. Wow, that's funny. And worst shoot of the year last year was Big Show versus The Authority, instead of Daniel Bryan versus The Authority. Jared, what's your worst feud of the year?
My worst feud of the year is Brie Bella versus Nikki Bella. This was a horrible storyline that had no redeeming qualities whatsoever and some of the most asinine promos I've ever heard. And the worst part is it had the dumbest resolution that I've ever seen to a
Yes.
feud, where they just got back together with the explanation of, well, blood is thicker than water. You know, don't question it.
It's that.
This was horrible.
Because it took so much of our time. Like that's part of the consideration for Feud of the Year. Like, how much do you have to suffer through it? And like, this was definitely a lot of that. Like 3 months of this shit. Ugh.
I found it. Girls review. We have in order 2 stars, NA, 3 stars, half a star, 1/4 of a star and a half, 2 stars, and the main event got 1 star. Overall, 4 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Speaking of that, as far as my worst match, yeah, like I actually had to think about it. Like, I actually know now because there was a show. There was a show from International Wrestling Cartel, IWC, and it, I want to say it was the Super Indie show, and the main event I want to say was RJ City, and I know Facade was in it, and I think there was 2 more guys in that Fatal 4-Way, and I thought the booking of it was so stupid. Like, I think I gave that -3 stars or whatever, and it wasn't really because of the quality. It was just the booking of it was just so terrible. But really, that's all I really remember from that match. But I really hated that match. I really can't think of a worse match than that.
All right.
Booking wise.
I'll try to find the match. Was it like 4-way to qualify for Super Indy 12? And it was.
I think it was the finals. I think it was the final match of the show.
So that was LV's. We finally found this match: RJ City versus Facade versus Sammy Guevara in the finals of Super Indy 13 at IWC Super Indy 13. The match that apparently was terribly booked and wasn't that good work rate rise either, as LV's worst worked match of 2014. Right?
Well, like a match quality wasn't bad. It was just the hooking of it sucked.
Okay.
I
mean, what was that match that you rated terribly that everyone else like loved? Oh, the Raw Money in the Bank ladder match and Money in the Bank 2011. That everyone was giving that match like 4 stars, and you gave it like 2.
Oh yeah, like
the one Del Rio one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, like that was just a train wreck. I wasn't a big fan of that at all.
I don't think you've ever been the biggest Del Rio fan, right?
I mean, like I wasn't really the biggest one. Like, I just thought, everybody kind of just was just prisoner of the moment when he first debuted, and people was thinking, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be the big star. This is going to be the guy." And I'm like, "Calm down." And
that was the plan.
And I remember when you would see him live, and you said that he got no reaction because of like his entrance and all that. He got no reaction, and then I was at the Raw. That was The Rock's birthday. Like the day after Extreme Rules, the day after he lost to Christian in the ladder match. And he came out to no reaction, and I tweeted, "Damn, LV5454 was right." And then like 10 minutes later, I see you tweet from your account in all caps, "Alberto Del Rio is not over." One of my favorites. All right, so aside from the piece of shit overrated worker Alberto De Patron, when that guy comes to Ring of Honor, I expect the "you suck" chance. Now let's get to worst feud of the year.
Overrated.
I love Del Rio, but
Me too. Well,
for feud of the year, Jared has Brie Bella versus Nikki Bella. He already talked about it.
Feud of the year.
LV, my bad. LV, what is your worst feud of the year?
it is actually the same thing as Jared. Brie Bella against Nikki Bella, and I remember, there was a point in time where I wasn't watching any Raw, and then for some odd reason, I decided to actually try to catch like the first few minutes of Raw, and unfortunately, this was the Raw where they had the what was it called? The
Jerry Lawler? I mean Jerry Springer?
No,
no, it wasn't the Spring. It was probably. I think what you're thinking of is the when they showed the. It was like the Bella's history of all like the bad things that Bree's done to
Yeah, like and I was watching that and I was like, oh my god, what
That
is
was
this? I was
that.
just I was just dying laughing at this, and I'm like, this is so bad. And then I think what really made it worse out of everything was that really all in all, the WWE is trying to make the story be that Nikki is the bad person and Brie is the good person. But really, all in all, as I'm following this feud, I'm saying to myself, you know what? I'm actually on Nikki's side, and I have no sympathy for Brie because I have none at all. And I think, I think if you have that mentality, then obviously
You've done
this
something
feud
wrong.
doesn't, it doesn't work. And to top it all off, Brie Bella eventually joins Nikki Bella, and when asked why Brie Bella is siding with her sister, her reaction was blood is thicker than water, and then they walked off. And to me, I don't think there's not a worse feud for this at all. And I know some people are going to say, "Oh, what about Toriano against Azuka?" No, no, no. It's the Bella Twins. I'm sorry because it made no sense from the get go.
That Yano and Suzuki feud. Well, they incorporated Azuka this year, but that Yano and Suzuki feud has been going on for like over a year. They literally wrestled each other at every pay-per-view for like a year.
Jesus.
It's always either Yano versus Suzuki one-on-one, or Yano and Sakuraba versus Suzuki and Azuka, or some combo of that.
That's really funny, actually. Check out New Japan, everyone. Anyways, now we got worst promotion of the year. LV, we'll start it off with you. Who deserves this illustrious award?
Well, I think the worst promotion of the year goes to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Oh no, I'm sorry.
I'd already wrote that in. Damn it.
Well, the worst promotion of the year, to no surprise, as you're listening to this whole entire recording, it is Resistance Pro Wrestling.
More Resistance Pro.
I mean, just horrible shows, just horrible angles, just horrible announcers, just horrible stuff all around. Yeah. The only good qualities I will say is that their production is a little bit better than your typical indie promotions, but really that's just about it. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some people that I do like, but it's very little. And yeah, I mean, I really don't know what else to say. I mean, they got the worst commentator, they got the worst show, arguably probably the worst match, even though I think the IWC match is way worse, but that's more so booking wise. They got the worst show of the year. I mean, just feels right for this to be the worst promotion of the year. I mean, I know people may say TNA, but I mean, Resistance Pro was so bad this year that I would rather have watched TNA than Resistance Pro. I mean, it's that bad. Really that bad.
C-Red and C-Red's partner, who I don't know his name.
Those Smashing Pumpkins fans are going to be at your doorstep.
That rage. Well, Jared, with all the Resistance Pro you've seen, of course, do you have anything else to weigh in on who should be worst promotion of the year if it's not them?
Well, since I haven't seen the atrocity that is Resistance Pro,
I'm kind of curious though.
Me too. I have this morbid curiosity in it now. It's like so we hear about like those horrible movies that win all the Razzie Awards. Like, all right, I gotta see. It's like it's like
Plan 9 from Outer Space, or like Mono's Hands of Faith.
No, The Room.
The Room. Troll 2. Like,
yes. Oh man, this is bring back some fond memories. Anyway, worst promotion of the year would go to it's gonna go to TNA. I really didn't watch a whole lot of TNA this year. I mean, I saw probably less than I've seen in other years, but I mean, they've taken like so many steps backward, like business wise. I mean, they're literally at indie level right now. They're on some third rate network now that like nobody gets. Like they go from Spike TV to Destination America. I mean, their live events draw terribly. Like, there's nothing interesting going on. They don't seem to be going anywhere. They're making no progress. They keep losing talent. They just seem like a stripped down shell of a company. I mean, there are definitely other indies that probably have more, like, attractive qualities about their product than they do, including probably a more talented roster from the star power standpoint.
Yeah, I would personally also, not having seen the greatness of Resistance Pro, much like how best promotion of the year is not just it's not just like who puts on the best wrestling matches, like that's definitely part of it, but like, you know, who has the best promotion, like who's getting people into the door, stuff like that. Like that stuff should matter. That's why UFC won that award for so long. And the reason New Japan won it the past 2 years, yes, part of the reason was because it was a great product, but another part of the reason was they expanded. Like they got more eyeballs on the product. They did a lot of things to incorporate more American. They saw that the American fans wanted New Japan Pro Wrestling. It wasn't just a Japanese product. So they went through all these mechanisms to try to get more Americans to watch the product, whether it be with the iPay-per-views or with the video on demand deals they have. And similarly for worst promotion of the year, it's not just who has the worst cards, but who actively like is doing worse as a promotion. And that's why I think TNA is always a good choice. So for that reason alone, that's fair.
They're gonna die soon anyway.
True. Best booker, Jared, your turn to go first.
John and Gato. I think they deserve to win again. They book the best in terms of making getting the most out of like, you know, the most people on their roster and not, you know, having any kind of like filler storylines and, you know, filling all their cards so that like, you know, from top to bottom each match seems like it has a purpose and everyone's got a program and everyone's got a chance to make a name for themselves. They'll put different guys like in main events like you know, I mean, they kind of been rotating the main event scene a little bit to like, you know, to get the IC title in there and elevate the prestige of that belt. You see on some house shows, you'll see stuff like the Never title being defended in the main event. I just feel like Jado and Gato, they just book a great product that really gives a lot of the guys the opportunity to ascend the ladder and you know, establish themselves as top level guys. And I mean, New Japan honestly has upwards of like, you know, maybe you could even argue 15 to 20 people who you could throw in a main event in just about any show.
LV?
For my best booker, I would actually go with Jim Thorne from AIW. I think the thing with Jado and Gato, and I'll be the first one. I'm a big supporter of them, and I actually do defend them a whole lot. However, though, I will say some of the things they're booking, I do think they kind of raise a little bit of eyebrows. However, though, at the same time, I do think they're getting that trust of, you know, just wait and see what happens. But it takes a while for you to like just connect all the dots. However, though, with Jim Thorne, I think with his booking style, he pretty much put me on the edge of my seat every single show. And it's like I said at the beginning, talking about AIW, you know, you had whole Tim Donst chasing the AIW championship, and then you had Veda Scott and Gregory Iron. You know, you had the Josh Probridge and Matt Cross feud that went on. You had the Athena Allison Kay feud over the women's championship. Just a whole bunch of things he had going on. And he fit that all onto all his shows and made it to a really, really great year. And just recently, he had the whole Ethan Page, Eddie Kingston stuff. The Duke teaming up with certain people like Leon Von Dutch and Eddie Kingston to kind of rebound from the Nixon storyline they had last year. So, and I think the biggest compliment here was that I think Jim Thorne really did a really good job kind of preparing for the worst. And what I mean by that is when Michael Elgin has a little visa thing going on, he was the AIW champion, so he wasn't able to make it to the to the show that he was supposed to go to. So instead, he already built up Tim Donst and Josh Alexander, so it wasn't really a huge loss. So I do think that's a huge testament to how much he built up those guys throughout. So I'll go with Jim Thorne.
Is it Jim Thorne or John Thorne?
You know, that's a good question. I could have sworn it was Jim, but it could be John.
No, because I think his name, like on the promotion is Jim, but his Twitter account is John.
Oh,
it's one of the, it's a weird thing. I'm gonna call him Jim Thorne. Whatever. I wasn't sure. That's what I was just asking. All right, Jim Thorne. That booker of that terrible piece of shit promotion, AIW, right?
Sure.
Okay. AIW is a lot of fun. Show them some love. Next, we got Promoter of the Year, LV. Should I really put this award in? I'm gonna take this one out. I think this is kind of similar to Best Booker, really. Like, I don't know. I don't want you guys to have to say Dana White, or I think it's more of an MMA award than it is a wrestling award. Best gimmick. LV, now you go. This is an actual award.
This to me is no contest. It is Yosuke Santa Maria from Dragon Gate. This gimmick was awesome so much. I had a lot of fun with this gimmick. Just a lot of fun stuff. If you guys have Dragon Gate and have not seen Yosuke Santa Maria, I don't know what's wrong with you. You must not have been watching Dragon Gate that much. I really don't think nothing really has touched this all year long, if you ask me. So to me, this is a no-brainer for me.
Jared? Jared? Hello? Vic, are you still there?
Oh, my bad. My mic was muted. Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. I haven't stopped recording, so I'll just edit this stuff out. Or maybe I'll leave it in. I'm not sure yet. Anyways, continue. Best gimmick.
My best gimmick is Damian Mizdow. I think he's just like, this gimmick is the funniest shit ever. I mean, him being the Miz's stunt double and taking his bumps on the apron and on the side of the ring, like, while matches are going on, is unbelievably hilarious. I mean, I don't know who came up with this, but this was like the best idea ever.
How do you spell Yosuke?
It's Yosuke. I think it.
Yosuke. And
Yeah.
Santa Maria is 2 words, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I figured.
Yeah.
And Damian Mizdow.
He also styles it with a heart in between Yosuke and Santa.
I see.
Gilbert Blaze will appreciate LV's vote for this award.
Now we get to worst gimmick. Jared, we start with you this time.
Worst gimmick. My worst gimmick goes to Adam Rose and his entourage. You want to talk about a failed attempt at a mainstream crossover and trying to reach like the young adult audience. This just comes off as completely fucking asinine. I mean, the bunny, like the raving lunatic thing. I mean, it's just so stupid.
Levick?
Man, you know what? Like, I wasn't gonna pick Adam Rose. Then you brought up the bunny, but I really have a hard time with the Emma gimmick. I really do. Now, like, when the whole Emma thing started, I mean, sure, when she was on NXT, she was a heel, and then they kind of built it up as, oh, you got to be more fun and yada yada yada. And then they did a little dance, but ever since she got on the main roster, I just get annoyed with it. I'm saying to myself, okay, you know what? These people clearly don't know why she's dancing like that, having that type of music, and it's pretty much a waste from one of Lance Storm's students. Like I do think Emma can do a whole lot more than that gimmick, and I think the WWE really needs to start understanding, like, look, not everybody knows what NXT is, especially when you don't advertise them or you bury them on your own television show. So I really have a hard time with the Emma thing. The Adam Rose thing, I do think in a way it's a fun gimmick. However, though, I do think it gets overexposed, but the Emma thing just makes no sense to me. Makes no sense to me at all. Like, there's no type of background or anything, or no type of vignette. She just showed up with Santino, and they went from there.
Now we get to best book and best DVD, kind of merging these two into one since they're essentially kind of the same topic. I don't know how much Jared actually reads, much less reads pro wrestling books. So
we're both uneducated dumb fucks who don't read books.
do either of you have books that you want to contribute?
The
Chris Jericho book is good. The new one.
I heard that the Jericho book is good. God, I don't know how many books I've even read this year.
I'm just gonna put Chris Jericho for both of you. How about that?
Do it up. I like Chris Jericho.
Are you cool with that, LV? LV.
Yeah, that's fine.
Read more
Yeah.
wrestling books. That's how you learn a lot about the business. Like to
I
anybody
read The
watching,
Observer.
like
I read.
what, LV?
Oh, I was saying I read the Observer.
Yeah, me too.
Now, to my credit, to my credit, I did read Jericho's second book, and I thought that was an amazing book to read. But the reason why I haven't even read Jericho's book, his new books, because her wasn't, it didn't really get that much rave reviews of it. You know what I'm saying?
Or did you read his first one, or did you just read his second one?
No, like I read his first two books a while back.
Okay.
About a week ago.
A long time ago. You don't remember me a long time ago live tweeting stuff from Jericho and the death of WCW?
I remember you live tweeting from the death of WCW.
Yeah.
I wasn't being serious. I was just trying to make a really bad joke. Don't worry about it.
The third book, I haven't finished it, but the third book is I can much guarantee it's a good read, especially since it covers most of the stuff that happened while us two were all on YouTube, while we were all like insiders. So like the backstage stuff is even more interesting. At least I think.
Yep. As for DVD though, I have a pick for best DVD. The Paul Heyman DVD, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Heyman. This is a really, really great documentary that documents Paul Heyman's entire career in pro wrestling, from him breaking into the business as a kid and how he was just so driven to get into wrestling. How he called up, he made calls and said that he knew Vince McMahon Sr. Because he ran into him he found out where Vince went to go to get his haircut or something like that, and he used that information to get himself a press pass into Madison Square Garden to be a ringside photographer. And from there, he's regularly working with the WWF, and then when he's 17, he's buying himself a plane ticket down to NWA and learning with Dusty Rhodes and all that stuff, and then from there he's working the other territories, and it just does a really great job of showing how Paul Heyman, because obviously everybody there's certain things in his career that Paul Heyman's known for, but I mean from on a grand scale, I think the main thing about Paul Heyman is how he's been able to evolve himself with the times, how he's been so many different things in wrestling that have adapted to different eras. Like in the 80s, Paul Heyman was your flashy, cartoonish, rock and wrestling type of manager guy, and then he's the grittier, more profane, grungy 90s Paul Heyman when he's in ECW, and then he goes on to write for WWE, and then he becomes what he is today and all that stuff. And it's pretty amazing to see how Paul Heyman's gone through so many different phases of his career. And I think by far the most interesting part of the documentary was his work in the 80s, getting himself into the business and the territories, and how he learned how to promote events and and edit and write, and how he was just absorbing all this information. And it's just a really, really nicely told story.
LV, have any DVD recommendations?
Well, I haven't watched the Paul Heyman DVD. However, though, I have watched the Randy Savage one. And I thought the Randy Savage one, I thought it was a good documentary. However, though, I do think there are some questions to it, and I do think they let some stuff out. Obviously, I did not expect, or I do not expect them to ever bring up the whole Stephanie Randy Savage rumors. That's completely understandable. However, though, I do think they didn't really touch upon stuff like the whole Sherry Martel stuff, how that came about. There's things that I think they just left out, and I think some of that has to do with Lanny Poffo trying to protect his brother, which again is understandable. But at the same time, if you're going to put out a documentary like this, I try to be as 50-50 as you can. So I thought the DVD was okay, but some things I was just left to be desired with it.
And that is going to do it, folks. That's going to conclude our 2014 Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards. I still don't know how I'm going to format this video. I don't think I'm going to put the answers in the description box, because then people just Then
Yep.
people just look at the choices and not the actual video.
That's
Yeah.
basically what I call star rating syndrome. Everybody just reads the fucking ratings and doesn't listen to the review.
I've done that many, many times to your videos, not gonna lie. So, yeah, a lot of great content here. This was it's really awesome to just sit back and just talk about how the state of wrestling is in 2014 and how it looks going into 2015. It was a very, very enjoyable project. Even though I don't watch nearly as much wrestling as I would like to, this was really, really great, and I thank you both for doing this. LV, Jared, any thoughts or anything like that?
Just look forward to 2015, and for any of y'all coming to WrestleMania weekend, I'll see y'all there.
Jared?
January 4th, Tokyo Dome. Watch it. Enough said.
I'll make sure to watch it by the end of 2015. And 16, yes. And with that, we thank you all for listening. We hope you all enjoyed it. Bye.